Alright people, this is the Union Tapes episode number 4. It's with a guy named Stuart King, who was a well-known UK pro in the 90s. We detail his path through BMX from a very early age when he started at the lowest point in probably BMX history, how he got into contest riding, how he got into riding in general, where it went to the US, turned pro in the US, competed with all the top names. The bike company that he did called King Bike Co, which is a legendary name from back then, and a highly innovative and powerful rider. So get your gums around this one, enjoy it. Just give us a brief background of like where he was born and raised and stuff like that, just the early beginnings.
I was born in Peterborough, but I think I left there when I was like less than 6 months old. And then moved down to Hertfordshire, so Radlett, and then stayed there for up until I was like 20, I guess.
Your whole childhood life?
Yeah.
Was that in the same house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just in that same place. Not much to do, no places to go. Really, probably nearest place, Harrow, which is like probably 20-minute drive or something from there.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
There was a few like little banks and stuff that I'd go and ride, and there was like a Dells like there is in most little towns.
So, what was your first bike? Like non-BMX, like?
Well, I know I had a rally burner, like a chrome burner, and that, like I don't remember really having a little bike. I probably did, but I was more into motorbikes. So like I had motorbikes from when I was 4.
Oh, right.
And raced until raced motocross until I was like 7 or something, for a year or two until I was 7, I reckon. And then probably would have been what, 9, 10 or something when I would have had the
when you started racing motorbikes?
6, I reckon.
Oh, wow, like early, yeah.
Yeah, I was massively always into bikes. And
what drew you to motorbikes?
I don't even know. Don't even know where I've even seen one to get into it. I think my dad had a trials bike randomly, and don't think he ever used it particularly, but so I think that might have been where I first saw a bike. And then I just,
like the trials bike was in like the motorbike that you hop across.
That sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I remember when I think I must have been 4. I got this tiny little Gorelli like little automatic motorbike, and just had that, and then progressed on up until.
So what was you just whipping across fields and stuff to start with, then, I guess?
Front garden.
Oh yeah.
Like I had this like little track. I'd go down like steps, round the corner, then out onto like there's a little bit like a tiny little patch of grass outside the front. Burn up the grass on the road, and then down the side, and that was. Oh, my neighbours must have gone mental, but I'd just be out there lapping on this little thing all the time, and like just and then just fields. There was a field actually by the Dells where I would have taken bikes at some point. There was fields down there. Oh, actually, I remember the first time I got a more powerful bike. The first time I had a proper racing bike. I took it down towards that field, and I had it flat out down this hill towards this field, and the gate was never normally closed, but it was closed, and I didn't spot it was closed until the last minute, and I went straight into the gate, and my helmet went through, so my head went through the gap in the gate, but I couldn't get it out because it like forced it open, and then I I couldn't get my head out. It was stuck in this gate. So
it must have been with your parents though, right?
Yeah, but I was screaming.
And they was like...
But because I hacked it off on
yeah.
this bike, they took like, I don't know, 5 minutes to get there, and they had to take...
And you were just stuck in the gate?
I was stuck in the gate. Oh, I've forgotten about that.
So how did you get you out of that? Just take your helmet off and then yank
took
the
my helmet
mask
off and then like open it out enough to get my head out. It was like, it wasn't even big enough to get my head through, but I managed to get... Yeah, I'd been like, five. So yeah, and then I must have got into. I know I got into BMX through going to Harrow, and then that's when I first saw BMX. And I wouldn't have gone to Harrow on a bike; that was on skates. So like, a load of kids I went to school with or whatever would have skated at that point.
Roller skates, or
roller skates, yeah.
Quads, yeah.
Quads, yeah. So yeah, we used to go to Harrow and like go in half pipe and all that stuff on skates. And never even thought about BMX, and then I would have seen Mark Langston down there doing some flatland and probably some jumps out of the bowl to flat, and I think it was mainly him, Rodney Clark, and not Rodney Clark, Paul, yeah. But I don't think they were there for the first couple of times I'd seen BMX was just Mark, I think, and then Rodney at some point. I would have seen, but he didn't do flat, did he? So he would have just been like...
No, yeah, he just jumped.
He was just doing some jump stuff. So yeah, and I was like, fuck, this is awesome, I need to get involved. So, I don't know...
How did you get to Harrow? You just get on the train? Like,
no, I couldn't.
What kind of age was you when you was first there?
I reckon... well, when did I actually start riding properly? I was quite young. Probably about 14, I reckon.
You came to Chingford in about 91, I think, 92. So
I was 15.
Maybe 91 with Rodney and those guys. I remember like you turned up because we knew those guys already from like back, a bit back. And I remember you came with those guys.
Was it Chingford?
Yeah, where it had the two ramps. It had the big wooden ramp and the little metal one. Or the little, it was 8 foot. One was 11 and one was 8.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
that was early. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I only went there once. That was the first time I'd been to a ramp. That was that was
like your first excursion out.
Yeah, so that would have been. Who else was there that day? Vaguely remember.
Sean Scarf, probably. Zach, maybe.
I'm not sure. Who else was there?
So you guys came over from. Like Harrow, you came from West, like and that was like there was maybe 2 cars of you or something.
Yeah, so we'd been at Harrow riding, and then someone would have gone, "Oh, let's go over here." So like it would have been Langston's van or
Rodney had a little van, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think Chillout used to get the train to there because he was from Wembley, wasn't he? So he'd got the train over there. So I guess I remember like. Coming out of Chingford, and like Rodney couldn't drive past the KFC without going in there, man. And he just like handbraked it up in the middle of the road, and just like got to get me some buzzard, and he was in there, man. Oh, he was funny. What a ledge.
So you wouldn't know how you got to Harrow that first time you got there on the skates. Someone's parents.
Yeah, it would have been. I can't remember who I'd have been riding with. Maybe my mate Danny King, maybe. Maybe I went with him. But yeah, it would have been one of our parents. Yeah. My mum was pretty much running me backwards and forwards from Harrow from that moment on for years and years. And then it wasn't until probably when I made friends. Well, actually, so. Mason and Richard Brown and Duncan Jack used to take me around. So if they weren't taking me, then my mum would take me. And then when I met Elliot, that would have been the first time I'd have stayed at his house for a weekend, and then we'd have been riding distance to Harrow, Pinner, and I don't know where else.
Pinner was a little bit after, wasn't it?
Yeah, so.
So
There was still one jumper pinner though, wasn't there?
that was still a little bit after, yeah.
Yeah.
So you went after seeing those guys at Harrow. How did you get you got a bike somehow?
Yeah.
Was it through magazines or videos or what? What else did you sort of seek after that, or did you just find that's the place that you find out about it, so you just kept going back there?
Well, I reckon. Yeah, I think you would have been able to get magazines just in what would have been Invert back then, yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So I probably would have been able to get copies of Invert, even if I had to order them in from the local newsagent. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
But it was more about, and I remember Head First was a massive.
Yeah,
that was 91,
yeah.
Yeah. So once I seen that was it.
You're all in, yeah.
Yeah, I was just blown away by it. I used to watch it every day for I don't know how long I watched it for, but yeah, every day I just and then
soaking it up. That was that video though, at that time was just it was mind blowing. It's still mind blowing now, but back then it was just superhuman.
Yeah, it was insane. And then weirdly, 3 years later, I was in that warehouse.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
which is
3 years later, probably. Yeah, 94.
Yeah, so I didn't even. Yeah, I mean, when you're that young, that probably seems like a long time anyway, doesn't it? But when I look back on it now, I was like, so not being able to ride a bike at all to being at the place that I'd seen
riding in contest with
and I didn't even appreciate it at the time. It was just happening, and
because at the time,
obviously I thought it was cool, but
like you say,
I was too young to really appreciate it.
16 something.
Yeah, so you just
for that life scale, it seems like a relevant amount of time for you to have got to that stage, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess, I guess it's all small. It's all steps along the way, isn't it? It's not like you suddenly got there. It's totally. It's all just small steps. But now you look back on it from being 45, and you're like, what? When you look at the timeline, you're like, that's pretty mad. But but I think So I think I went there when I went for the Hoffman contest. I don't think I rode the warehouse. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't. So it was probably a little bit after that, to be fair, because everything was outside.
Yeah. So you must have gone back to that warehouse.
I went.
Pictures of you riding that Verbo.
Yeah. So I went back when no one was there. But weirdly, that must have been with Steve, poor boy Steve, I reckon. So it was probably at least a year after that, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mate, because
I think you're right there.
So I did do quite a lot of trips in a short amount of time.
So that your riding crew, when you started, was Rodney, Chill Out Paul, Mark Langston, Duncan, Richard Brown, Mason Smith. It was those guys, yeah.
Yeah, Russ.
And Harrow locals, like Elliot at the time was a Harrow local.
Yeah. I feel like they came a little bit after.
And that was a little bit later on in the.
I think that was a little bit after as well. I think I'm pretty sure that it was Paul, so Grot Bags, and Elliot and Martin. I think was pretty much around the same time, but a little bit after.
Yeah.
Because then I would have got, like I said, when I was staying at Elliot's house, I'd have got my freedom a little bit more, and been able to spend weekends at his and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, in the days before Harefield and all that.
Yeah, all the older stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can you remember what the first contest you went to was? Was it that one in Nottingham or something?
Yeah. I think that's the one.
Did you ride in that, or was it you just spectating?
Don't think I rode. No. I think it was really small. Did you go to that? No.
I wasn't at that one. No.
Nah, it was like a tiny little place from memory.
Nottingham Wheels had the vert ramp in the corner and the the spine ramp in the other corner,
in the other
and it had
corner.
street stuff in the middle.
Yeah, but my memory of that is like, it was so small, it was barely big enough to fit all that stuff in, but maybe that's just a...
No, what it was, I remember it as having space, but there was not much in the middle though. And the ramps were like tucked in the corners.
Yeah, I remember it being really claustrophobic in the corners.
In the corners, yeah, both corners, yeah.
So I think I've seen people from magazines for the first time. That obviously, I think, I was already riding with Jerry and stuff. So I'd have been exposed to that kind of.
Yeah, because Harrow became a bit of a like sanctuary for people who were riding at that point in time, didn't it? Like that.
Yeah.
A lot of the scene used to end up going to Harrow for that, like a couple of years.
There was just nothing, was it?
Yeah.
Nothing else really.
And jumping had like kind of made a bit of a comeback, and everyone was kind of into doing fly-ups and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because even the Alder Street, well, I guess it's similar now. But Alder Street, every street course had to have like a big fun box, didn't it? Like a big jump box. It was just like, it was half the tricks had to be done jumping.
Yeah, it was just then, jump boxes were just taking off, weren't they?
Yeah. So I would have already been exposed to some sort of more experienced and like riders such as Jerry, you know. But I remember seeing Mark Atkins there and probably Ollie Matthews. I'm trying to think who else would be there.
Zach was there, I think.
Yeah.
Canning.
Yeah.
I remember it in the mag.
I clearly remember Mark Atkins because I remember thinking he was massive and like just on this tiny little bike. Would he have been on a GT
or something? Or maybe even a Ripper, a late Ripper.
Yeah, maybe.
One of the two, yeah.
Like doing tail nose picks and all the tech stuff that you used to do, and I remember thinking, like, whoa, seeing it for up close was like pretty cool. But I don't think I could have ridden that contest. I don't think
it was too early.
Yeah.
So I remember you got good pretty quick, and I remember going to Harrow and you were doing tail whips one day on like maybe a Hoffman Big Daddy or like maybe even a Supercross. You had a Supercross at one point. Yeah,
but I feel like that might have been later. I had a dyno maybe.
Oh yeah, you had a dyno.
Chrome dyno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a mongoose, a black mongoose, the Dennis McCoy.
Oh yeah, Decade, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. That was.
So in between that though, there was a League C contest.
No,
you remember?
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Was there?
Sean Scarf won.
Oh.
Can you remember this?
Yeah.
You had a picture in BMX now doing the 540.
On the video round. Yeah. Yeah,
so
was that all it was?
That was 92.
Was it?
Yeah.
Crikey.
And you rode that, didn't you?
Yeah. Pretty sure I did, yeah.
So that would have been
I do vaguely remember that contest. I remember Sean Scarf riding for sure. Yeah, and but that was weird. So they had that whole skate park and they just had a comp on the midi.
I don't know, was it?
Or did they?
I can't remember if they had it. But I think at that point in time, the rest of the skate park was almost too advanced for the riding.
Yeah.
So not many people could ride the spine or because it was too new.
Yeah.
So we just used to ride that one jump. Do you remember? Jump that.
Yeah,
That was it.
That's
what we used to do for a long time. Yeah.
Whoa. What place?
So the dyno, was you sponsored by those guys at that point in time?
No, the Supercross definitely was.
Shiners or Peter Hawkins and Shiners?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember why I ended up getting that. I think I wanted something a bit lighter because I was obviously quite small. But yeah, that thing didn't last very long.
The dyno?
The Supercross.
Oh, the Supercross.
Yeah, so I think that can't have been the first bike. What other bikes did they do?
Haros.
Didn't get a Haro from there.
SEs.
I did have an SE for a while. Yeah. Remember when they yeah, maybe I got one.
You had one in Rippers, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I vaguely remember.
Yeah, silver one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I got that from them.
Well, how did that the Peter Hawkins thing come about?
Where would I have met Peter Hawkins? That's a
That early, I don't know.
would I've
Maybe that not in Nottingham, no. But you weren't even riding there.
no. Maybe I would have been practicing. I think I would have been riding. I wouldn't have gone anywhere without riding. Like
I mean riding the contest.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember exactly where I hooked up with him, but he obviously. So he had Mike Mullen already, I think.
Yeah.
And remember Jim? I don't remember his second name.
Yeah, the guy from Southsea.
Yeah. He was. So it was Vision at the time. I think was what we were, the main sort of sponsor, and then we would just get parts from China. I think in order to sort of, help the Vision streetwear team, whatever. Yeah. So I think that's why it wasn't specific bikes. I think we could just get anything from China or any bits from China or whatever. Can't remember who else, because obviously Peter was. I can't remember where I actually met him, but he flowed me some parts and I got clothes and shoes from Vision and stuff. Yeah, he'd take us around to a few contests.
Yeah, I wonder where that was then that you met him, because you'd assume it was Southsea, but I guess you hadn't been at that point in time.
No, when would have been the first King of Concrete? It must have been.
The first King of Concrete was I think '89, but obviously you wasn't at that one.
Yeah, the first one that I would have gone to.
The first one you would have went to maybe '93, maybe.
Yeah, so I think that's quite way after, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we all stepped in the skate park at that Nottingham. That Nottingham contest. Yeah.
It was in the winter.
Just kids on the floor in some sort of kitchen area or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was. Chill Out Paul was singing like.
I remember the stories of when you guys came back, so I didn't go to that one. Yeah.
Oh, it was funny.
Mate. So what do you think kept you in BMX, seeing as there was nothing happening at that point? You basically got into it when it was dead.
Yeah. I just think it was all on. I think it's the same as now. Really, the only thing I'd need is something to ride on a bike. I quite often just go riding on my own.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that as much as riding with people. Really, just going out and riding on my own. So I don't think it was all I knew. And I just had somewhere to ride and had a bike. So there was.
Did you see it as something that was dead when you was doing it at that point, or it was just known?
I think. I think I knew that it had its day.
Yeah.
Even your parents would have been like, oh, no one does that anymore, So that would have definitely hit home at some point, But not that
it deterred anyone, but it just definitely was a thing that I thought.
And then obviously if you've been around, Langston or whatever, they'd been there the first time round, I guess, so they knew exactly what was going on. Yeah. But it was kind of weird to them that there was no one, that there was 5 people in the skate park on bikes, but that was just what I'd grown up with. So didn't really know any different.
And then after a little bit, so you did a couple of contests. You went to the Ryder Cup in Spitalfields.
Yeah.
Was it the Ryder Cup or was it the one before? Because we talked about this before, but there was a regional there as well. So can you remember you were saying that you went to Spitalfields for a contest and you can't remember seeing the American guys, but it was actually a regional contest there, so it was probably that.
Yeah.
So it was all English guys on the same ramp,
And then I would have gone back to watch the one where Hoffman and that come over. Yeah. Because that was skating as well that day as well, wasn't it? On the second one. Or not?
Yeah, on the second one is a skate contest as well.
Yeah, that was pretty weird, wasn't it? Because
at that
skaters
time,
and BMXs didn't mix at all, did they? So that was quite cool.
And that was.
But I think actually no, we didn't mix until the X Games or until ESPN got involved, and then
in the 80s, we mixed a little bit in some scenes, but yeah,
it was pretty much outlawed.
The two things were
like because we had like the guys from St Albans, they used to like try and kick us off the ramp and wouldn't let us ride. Pegs are ruining the ramp, even though I doubt they ever skated that outside ramp. They were all street inside skaters, flipping about. So it was. I'd say it wasn't until '96 or '97 where BMXers and skaters were actually friends. Like Robbie was good mates with Danny and Colin, and used to ride a little bit of Andy Mack, and like that would be completely unheard of. And they were really sound, which was a real shock actually. Yeah. But why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, some of them, some people weren't cool to each other back in the fucking boom days, but like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rarer than what it was made out. Yeah, totally.
Like, but when those guys were actually like the top skaters were actually really cool, and they were pretty cool to us, I think. Or we just got on. Yeah. It was fine.
And everyone's grown up a bit, so.
Yeah.
It's kind of adds to it. What about St Albans ramp then?
You used to get taken.
How many times you used to ride there? That was like the 8-foot midi, yeah?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I used to ride there all the time, I think. Because that probably would have been... So that's where I met... apparently, that's where I met Mason and Richard and Duncan. And that ramp was awesome. I can't believe that was just on my doorstep, really.
So how do you get there? Your mum take you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, like I probably could have got the train actually, but even getting a bike on a train back then, if you were on a bike, you were public enemy number one, pretty much as if you were on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it is now where it's actually.
Yeah.
It's actually promoted.
Yeah, they help.
You know, it was just the opposite.
Well, who did you see ride there? Like, other than sort of the guys that you knew, like Richard, Duncan.
Yeah,
Mason.
other than them, probably no one.
Because it was quite, it wasn't a known ramp to go and ride. Not many people used to.
It's far out for most of the people that were riding as well. Like, I guess we would have gone there on the odd occasion, we'd have gone there with the Harrelot, I reckon. And then, where was the other one? The little spine ramp down the road. Did you ever go to that one?
No.
Like Harpenden Way?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, that was there for a little while. That was actually alright. It was on a roundabout, just on the side of like an A road. Random.
No, I never saw that one.
Wooden spine ramp. It was only small, but it was quite fun.
What about Crouch End? Did you ever go there with Rodney? Because I think those guys used to like that place, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I went there quite a few times. Can't think who I'd have seen. Did I see you there as well?
Not that I remember, no.
I think it was a lot of skaters there.
Yeah, there's a mini ramp on the back and the vert ramp at the front.
And I know like skaters would just drop in on us and stuff. Like
that was one of the places that it wasn't cool to be BMX. Like I went there first with Chill Out Paul. Yeah. And this is when I was at school, I was real young.
Yeah.
And the guy that built the ramp, Gary Clegg, he's actually alright, but like back then he was young, and so was we. I went with Paul, we'll meet at Finsbury Park, we'll go to Crouch End. We went to Crouch End, there was like 4 people skating around. We went to get on. He looks down at us. He goes, no bikes. Paul's like kicks off at him. Like, fuck you. Like,
yeah.
He started telling him, yeah, you're all right up there. You're safe up there. He's saying, you're safe up there. So you better stay there. And obviously, he gets down the ramp and says, I'm down here now. Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought Paul back down though, did he?
No, it kind of like nothing really happened. It was like it was pretty heated, you know.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he just stuck by. It's like no BMX. That was it. So we went.
Yeah. I remember the first time we went there. Was there a shop like at the top of the hill, like overlooking? So it was at the bottom of under a bridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's like a corner shop. Yeah. Yeah. Just before you get there.
So I think they just turned down to go to the ramp, and I was young, but how old would Chill Out have been back then? Like mid-20s?
Nah, he was young as well.
Was
probably,
he?
Yeah, he was probably a year or 2 older than me. He was probably 17.
Oh really? God,
Maybe it depends what year you're on about, but like I think he's probably 2 years older than me at most.
Oh really?
Yeah. Rodney was older.
Yeah.
Chill Out was younger than him.
I just assumed that they were
No, they weren't the same age.
no.
No.
Yeah, because Rodney was pretty old.
Yeah.
I think so they'd gone down to the ramp and I was like, I'm just gonna go to the shop and get a drink, and Paul was like, no, you ain't going to the shop. You ain't going to the shop without me, because this is the kind of place where they'll nick your bike and break your legs so you can't chase after them. And I was like, all right, I'll go with you then, because he was from Gnarly Estate, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Paul.
I can't remember what the name of it was, but yeah, it was a known one. Yeah, it was a known one in Wembley.
Yeah, so I assumed he could handle himself, because I definitely couldn't.
Noise for you to believe he could as well. Yeah, so.
Not as much as Adge though.
Nah, we got some good stories about Adge actually. Recent,
yeah. Well,
and you did some TV appearances as well, like when you was young, like riding for Shiner and that.
Yeah, I think that's through Peter, because Peter had some quite a few TV contacts and stuff, and so I did the one at Southsea on the mini ramp that people take the piss at me for.
Yeah.
What was that? Just Do It, or
I seem to remember a couple. Yeah, I know the one
that was like
Southsea. Was like one of them was like for Gloria Hunniford, right?
Yeah, so
that,
I went
or
on,
a daughter or something. Like it was.
Yeah.
I know she was involved somehow.
Yeah.
And that was at Southsea, or was that?
No, that was
the other one.
That was in the studio. They made me. I think I had to like do a 360 off of a ramp into a crash mat. Oh, it was cycle safety.
Okay.
Or wear a helmet or something. So I didn't wear a helmet back then at all, but I had to for this thing. Yeah, I don't even know if I got paid for that. So there was the Gloria Hunniford thing. I must have got paid a little bit. Then there was the thing at Southsea, which was like the kids like sports program thing, and I said you can't learn it from books.
The best way to learn, you can't learn from books or anything.
That's it, yeah. That was looking back, like what you said there was pretty true.
Yeah. But you know why? Because I probably tried in the beginning.
Yeah.
For fear, I would have got a hold of some old books from back in the day. In fact, I know I did. Like how to do kick turns and all that, and that's how you just wanted to learn. However,
well, that's what it made sense. You're talking from experience.
Yeah. But at that point, you'd probably been too afraid to say that.
Yeah.
Would have been well uncool. So I just said you can't learn it from books.
Well, how old was you then, you reckon? You still at school?
Yeah, I must have been.
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah, because it was on the Hoffman contest that I went to in Oklahoma. That was the year I left school.
Okay, I remember.
So it was in between GCSEs and going back for sixth form.
That's right, yeah.
Pretty sure. Which would have been 94, which would have left me 17. So yeah, it's about right, isn't it?
So you can't read it from books. You were 17 or you was younger than
No, I was younger.
Younger, yeah, that's what I thought, yeah.
Must have been 14, something like that. and that would have been on shop. That would have been on Vision, and all, and yeah, same as the Gloria Hunniford thing.
Yeah.
And then I did a TV advert for Halfords.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Me and Mike Mullen did it. Actually, me and Mike Mullen did it, and there was this other guy, Dennis or Derek or something, and I think he was a cycle courier or something, but he got a screw loose. Like he wasn't a BMXer, or he just like knew how to pedal a bike, so they got him in to do this advert, and we had to wear like one-piece lycra suits, ride around Battersea Power Station while they filmed all these different things, and Mike got paid a shitload more than me because I got paid like 20 quid or something, but he actually got decent money for it because his face was on the on the advert. It was Beat This was the advert. I don't know how I remember that. But it was his face, and he was like, "Beat this," and then they played like bits of the riding, and by the end of the day, they were like, "Yeah, we want you to jump off of this on these like £5 mountain bikes. We want you to jump off of this fly-up ramp onto the floor at like, and this thing was it? I think it was a bit bigger than like a Vincent."
Quarter pipe?
No, Vincent like fly-up ramp.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I think it's a bit bigger than that, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not. I'm not breaking my neck
so it was like
for this shit."
4 foot or something.
Yeah, I think it was probably about 5.
Oh, 5 foot, like gnarly, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
and they wanted us to jump
to the flat.
Onto the flat,
On
and
some
me and Mike were like, "Nah," and this guy's like, "I'll do it."
Derek was up for it.
Yeah, so it made us look like a right pair.
What, he did it and it was alright?
Mr. Confused. Yeah, he just did it, and I'm sure the whole film crew were like, "Why did we pay for these so-called professionals to do it when we could have just got matey from off the street?"
We got 3 Dereks.
I'll tell you what, I don't know. I think he survived as well, but yeah, I don't know how. I think he had to do like 2 or 3 takes, and the bike did stand up to it. But it would have been like not landing on back wheel. We would have been landing both wheels first, and just how that thing held together. I don't know, but yeah. So I think that were probably the 4 things I did for TV.
Okay.
I think we got asked to do. Actually, I went to the studio to see. Do you remember when Carlo did You Bet?
You Bet, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's actually the only time I've seen Carlo ride, I reckon.
You had to pop the balloons out of the vert ramp on each side.
Yeah, so that was through Peter as well, because he used to do stuff.
So that was early. That was when you were still at school as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I was psyched on that. Yeah, that was cool. I don't think I'd seen anyone get that high out of a vert ramp. No, I don't think. That would have been before Split.
Yeah.
Especially in that environment as well. Yeah, that's actually.
So did they set up and do that first?
I've never seen him ride, but yeah.
They set up and do that first before he, like to know that he could do it for the TV
I assume
show.
So, yeah.
Oh, you just saw the TV show?
I just went.
Okay.
Yeah, I just went for the actual filming.
All right.
And it was pretty mind blowing.
I watched that recently, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it on? YouTube or something?
Yeah.
No way. Yeah. I'll have to look that up.
And he's kind of making out that he's worn out, isn't he? But he's not.
Is it?
Yeah. Like to sort of add to the suspense.
Pro.
So from like them times.
Add to the suspense.
It did. It was kind of like. So from there, like, you end up at the Backyard Jam.
Where are we now?
So we're like 93. So this is like a lot's happened in like a few years, hasn't it? Like 2 years or something.
Yeah.
And then you end up riding A Group Backyard Jam.
Did I?
Yeah.
There was no qualifying, was there?
Well, you won, I think.
No.
You won that year, right?
I don't know.
You don't remember coming first at one of the Backyard Jams?
Not really. I told you, too many knocks to the right set Fred.
When Mo was over. Mo, Keith Trainer.
Oh!
Beverage.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the vert one, but no.
No, yeah.
So
you still on Vision?
That was the one with the chasm
Yeah.
And when Mola did the old Evel Knievel
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
That was
So yeah, that one. So
that was the first one.
So I'd been riding with you and seeing you at Harrow quite a bit, and you end up at the Backyard Jam.
Yeah.
You must have been the youngest competitor in AB, or maybe not C group, but A and B, when you won the jam, I think.
I don't think there was no one my age at Road, I don't think. I think the only...
Probably was then, there was kids, young, weren't there? Like
was there?
Squirter dirt kind of, yeah.
Oh, like real
young, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I'm trying to think who sort of my age. The only... It was me, the boy. Well, this is later, obviously. Yeah. But at my sort of age, in fact, the boy's probably younger than me, isn't he?
I don't know.
But
yeah, similar age.
But by the time we got to that point, there was like 3 people that I knew. Before then, it got more popular, and then a load of people started coming through. But for ages, I was the youngest of everyone. Yeah.
So you don't remember the Backyard Jam?
I remember the Backyard Jam. I remember like the crowd of people on the sides.
Well, you don't remember winning?
I don't remember winning it. No.
Excellent.
is that true though?
I think so. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm sure you won that year. Yeah. I'll have to look at that, but I'm sure you did. Yeah. So we missed a piece. You already was making bike parts at this point.
Was I?
You already had forks, I think.
Probably, yeah, because I just used to go through, especially forks, like nobody's business. Just used to bend them, like days normally.
Break them, bend them.
Yeah, bend the steer tubes mostly. Probably just jump into flat. Like I think you used to basically go around Bowl 2 at Harrow, go into it as fast as you could, and do the biggest jump possible to flat.
Yeah.
Like, something I would not consider anymore.
And wang the biggest trick you could as well, to sort of land unprepared and like.
Yeah. Like mad.
But then.
So yeah, the parts just couldn't stand up to it. So I started because. So through my dad's contacts that used to make stuff for him, I knew where I could get them made. So I just did some measuring of forks that I had, and just designed them up and got them made, and just as a prototype. In fact, the first thing I had made, I think, was an aluminium frame, which I don't know if anyone saw. I know that Richard and Mason and that saw it, but I'd done the drawing of the frame and didn't have a clue about how to spec any of the materials or the gauges of the material or whatever. So left that pretty much. So I'd drawn up what it was going to look like and the geometry and stuff, and then the guy that actually made the frame put whatever thickness tube he thought would do the job on. And even the dropouts. I think I must have spec'd the width of the dropouts, but thought because steel dropouts at that point were like 1.5 mil or real thin, weren't they?
Yeah.
So I must have gone for a 4 mil aluminium dropout. Thought that would be fine. And then it lasted. Remember the head tube?
Oh, you rode it, yeah?
Yeah, I rode it. I rode it. I know for a fact I rode it at St Albans. The head tube flared out, and I'd bent pretty much written off the dropout in one session. So that was my first attempt at making a bike.
Did you? So when you drew it on paper or on a computer?
No, on paper.
On paper, yeah.
Yeah. Just like
how did you know how to do that? Or did you just draw out like a shape with measurements and was it that?
I measured everything. So obviously I whatever bike I'd had at the time, I would have stood it up against a bench in the garage or whatever, measured all the bits, Had a protractor thing. Would have measured the angles of the seat tube and the head tube. Would have got an idea. Probably would have tweaked it to what I thought. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but yeah, I would probably gone, yeah, I'll just do this, this, and this. Then got the angles, and then just scaled it onto paper. And I used to love doing that. Like
Wow. What was this? 15 or something?
Yeah, something like that. 14, 15.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but I would have been. I remember going on holiday with my parents. So I'm trying to think where it was now. I think it was like Mallorca or something. And they just my parents just sit by the pool. Like holidays were just the worst thing in the world because we didn't do anything. They just want to lay in the sun, and I was just like, yeah. So I remember I just spent the whole week drawing different frames. I had like 5 or 6 different frame options and stuff, all with different, ones with ones just really simple, ones with stands, all sorts of stuff. I spent the whole week doing that. So I'm not sure if that was before or after that. That was probably after this frame, to be fair. That was probably the beginnings of the King frame, I would have said. Or
so
just working
before the aluminium frame?
Yeah. No, this would have been after the aluminium frame.
Yeah,
in between the two.
Did you know he was going to make it out of aluminium? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, you thought it was a good idea? Because you probably had the ripper.
Yeah. And I would have asked my dad, and he'd have been like, no, you don't want to make it out of steel, because, he didn't know about bikes, so he'd be like, yeah, make it out of aluminium, it would be lighter. And I did like the idea of using fat tubes, and, I thought he'd be alright, but
so how fat what would it look like?
It looked like, Wilson Airlines?
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Did that have the top tube that bent down really early on, and then the platform on it? Yeah, so it had that top bit, pretty much. Maybe so, but then with a pierced top tube going through, and then pierced going into the back end.
Pierced as well, yeah.
I think so.
Oh, crazy.
So I'd basically joined up all these bikes that I like the look of. So that'll give you an idea of when it was, is when that Wilson Airlines frame was around.
Yeah, early 90s.
Yeah. I've forgotten about that. But it didn't last. It was not fit for purpose.
And did you have forks made for it as well, or you just using some other forks?
No, I just used some other forks. And then I got the idea, well, I keep breaking forks or keep bending forks, I'm just going to make some stronger forks. So obviously the aluminium was out the window at that point, so we went to some larger diameter tubing for the forks, and I can't remember what, there were some forks that were shaped like my first ones, where they had that was it Zimmer forks?
More of an angle, yeah. They wasn't so curved. And
I like that look of
Zimmer
that
forks.
That bend.
I'm pretty sure we're like that. Yeah.
So I think I thought, well, I'm just going to use that because I like that. It looks aggressive, and then use some stronger tube, and then made them, and then the steer tube. The legs didn't bend, then the steer tube started bending.
That was with a normal stem, shafted stem.
Yeah. So then I tried to came up with the design where there was a shim inside the head tube. So
I remember, that's right.
You took the bearings out. You took the top bearing out.
Yeah.
Cut out.
Yeah.
Put the steer tube through. Put the sleeve over the fork, steer tube, and then put the cut back on. And that was a bit stronger, but it wasn't a good enough fit, so it would still allow it to bend on the inside, and then you couldn't get the fucker out. So then I was like, well, I'm just going to have to make a bolt-on stem. And I thought, can this be possible?
Well, how many people bought the first fork? They were quite popular, right, at the time, considering like the amount of people riding.
I'm not sure, really. I don't think.
I know there was a buzz about it, like.
Yeah, I don't know how
just
many.
In my circle, but
I don't know how many of them were made. Probably like 25 to 50, I'd say.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And I can't remember which ones were the production ones. I think that the production ones were the ones that ended up with the sleeve inside the steerer tube, because the legs were so stiff that the steer tube would bend.
Yeah.
And then we had to come up with a fix for that.
Because the legs were oversized, weren't they?
Yeah, the legs.
I remember they stuck
big.
out like of the steerer.
Yeah. Yeah, so they had to be like capped along the top. Yeah. And then I was thinking there's actually no way that we can have a normal like wedge stem. It's just not going to work. We need thicker wall material for them. And then I machined off the top of a what were the headsets back then? Tioga?
Yeah.
Yeah. Machined off the top of one of them so that you could get it all the way through, and then design the stem to go on top of it. And I'm pretty sure I hadn't seen that on even a mountain bike at that point. Well, at least I hadn't seen it. But
it could be right. It was early days.
They might have been on mountain bikes at that point, but I'm not sure. I thought they were the first. It was definitely the first one I'd seen, but
it moved quick, didn't it? After that, did they do a feature in Ride on your forks? How do people know?
Sure.
I know you had like photocopied like flyers or something.
Yeah, I made flyers, and it would have been before advertising, wouldn't it? Like the advertising would have come.
Yeah, it came later.
The frames and stuff. Well, no, I think I did have a little advert, like one of those.
Yeah.
8th page or quarter page jobs in the back of Invert or something.
I remember for the next fork, you definitely there was an advert in there with a clamp on.
Yeah. The first ones, I'm not sure. Maybe not. You just think, how hard was it back then for people to know about stuff? Like now, you just bing, 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 and everyone knows. But it didn't seem that hard though.
Well, the scene was so small that it
would have got.
It probably was better then.
Yeah, in terms of the percentage of people that reached. Yeah, less noise.
Yeah.
But it was.
And then the clamp-on version came after that.
Yeah, then I went mad because I was like,
did the clamp-on?
How can I have it as thick as I wanted? And I think the first ones had. So I think they're. This is from memory now. I think they're 7/8, aren't they? Because it's an inch headset. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think the top part was 7/8, which is 22 mil, and they had a 5 mil hole down the middle, just enough to get a brake cable down. Yeah. Well, no, they must have been like 9 mil down the middle. But ridiculous.
Yeah, like, I remember that weighed a ton.
So overkill, it's untrue. But
that's what happened at that time.
Yeah,
everything was overkill, and it just went backwards until it started braking again. And then went forwards a bit until it stopped.
Yeah, I mean nowadays you do finite element analysis on it, and you work out exactly how thick they should have been. But I just didn't want it to break, so I made them way too strong. But in the end, then the steer tubes were so strong, the legs used to bend again.
Yeah, you're chasing your tail. Something's going to break,
and then the frames bent once I sorted that out.
In half, yeah.
So I think that was the catalyst also towards making another frame, is that, or making a frame properly. I remember I had a dirt bike and I'd had it a week, and the top tube and the down tube, I think, right where they met the head tube, had got the stress so much they pulled the paint off. I remember that was at one of we used to do demos with a Vincent quarter pipe and a jump.
Who was that for?
Richard Brown and
Mason
and all that lot, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Dunk. Yeah, we used to do demos like Bug Jam, and we jumped like 4 or 5 Volkswagen Beetles on the drag strip at Santa Pod.
I think I've seen pictures somewhere. Yeah.
And we could, like, if you'd have gone down on it, it would have just shredded you. Like, it was horrendous, the amount of grip or amount of rubber that was down. And if you'd have fallen over on it, it would have been horrible. But yeah, we were just this really windy day, just pedalling up towards these people with their pride and joy Volkswagens. I'm just hoping you didn't land on it or have to bail the bike on top of it or something. But I remember, yeah. So when I found those stress marks, I think we might have been trying to do backflips.
Yeah, that sounds like a stress mark from a backflip.
Yeah.
With your forks on that bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been a lot of weight at the front, right at the front of the bike, try and get over.
Well, I remember they were trying to do flips at one point, weren't they? Those guys. Well, they were doing flips.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually, someone sent me a video, I saw a video the other week of me and Richard doing flips. I think Richard landed one and pretty much rolled away onto a mattress on this sort of like Vincent setup they had.
I've seen a clip of Mason trying to do one. I think, does he miss the mattress or something?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, there was.
He goes round, but like misses the mattress maybe. And
yeah.
Looks like he hurts himself.
But back then, we were just trying to hoik over those flips back then. When you actually do one, they're so easy. But we were just trying to muscle it all the way over. No technique. Well, I guess the technique
drag it round. Yeah.
Just thought you had to like.
You didn't know. You didn't have anyone to guide you through it.
No.
You see it on a video, and that's as good as it got.
But even like the Hoffman one in head first, he's like properly pulling that one over, not sitting back into it. And nowadays it's the first trick people learn. Yeah. People are amazed that I can do 360s, but they can do backflips.
Yeah.
It's completely alien, They're like, how did you do that? I'm like, what? It doesn't involve going upside down.
Was the forks like, so you had them forks with the stem clamp on?
Yeah.
And you had pegs as well. Pegs came around that same time.
Yeah.
Which was another kind of, they had like slots in them to stop them turning. Was that at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was also like something that had never been seen before. Was a peg that you put something in, it didn't turn anymore. Which is quite a good idea,
But it was a double thing because they always came loose. One.
When the
dropouts crushed.
Yeah. Okay.
And chain tensioner were always shit, weren't they?
Yeah.
They had those. The only ones that were really available at one point were the ones that were like
terrible, like 50p,
14 mil outside diameter jobs. So they'd push straight through your dropout anyway. So you didn't have any adjustment because it was wherever the washer had gone into your dropout.
I didn't know that was for your dropout not to crush, having that slot in there as well.
Yeah, because I always used to crush them doing ice picks.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I came up with. And it sort of, it served a triple purpose, but obviously it was quite difficult with the way that you had to have quite a long dropout for it to actually work.
Yeah, thick one, a long one, of course.
To get it far enough out the back.
But people still use that, like, they put Allen keys in so that the pegs don't turn. Screwed into the face of the thing. So it still gets used, so it's quite good that.
Yeah, because they always come loose, don't they? You do a grind and they just come loose.
If you ground my way,
Yeah.
Did you have that set up when you went to Oklahoma for that contest, that stunt boy contest?
I would have had something, yeah.
Or when you entered stunt boy?
Yeah. Trying to think what bike I would have had at that point.
And that was the first American trip you did to go riding BMX was Oklahoma, yeah?
Yeah.
Bicycle Stunt Series, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
With a big air.
When Hoffman did the big air, yeah. And so I went with Mason, Duncan, and another guy from around that way. And we did I don't know why, we ended up in Galveston as well, in Texas. Which is like the roughest place you've ever been to. Someone was shot down the road the night we were there. It's like a port town, I think. I don't know why the hell we ended up there. Yeah, so we'd done some bits in Texas and then ended up in Oklahoma, I guess.
Maybe you flew into Texas, did you?
Maybe. I remember driving to Oklahoma and we had no idea. People had no idea back then. Like, you wouldn't go anywhere without your GPS on your phone nowadays.
Yeah, no,
we just went, we're going to Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and we just like pointed the car at Oklahoma, rocked up in the outskirts of Oklahoma, like, which side of Oklahoma is it? No, nobody knew. It's probably quite a big place. It's America. And I don't know, we just had a clue. Oh, it's roughly around this sort of area. Drove towards there, and I remember we drove past like a Chili's or something on this main road, and we looked up at the sign, and someone had changed the sign to and we were like, we must be close.
Wow.
But it wasn't. It wasn't a racist thing. I think it was the only letters they had.
Okay.
So it was like, and they'd managed to change the letters around to say, and we were like, we're close. And sure enough, like within 10 minutes, we were there. We'd found the place.
Shit. How did that come about? That trip, like Mason was going, and you just got in with him, or?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Because you was young still then, weren't you? Was you just
going to
sixth form or something?
Yeah, so I'd been 16. That would have been summerish.
Yeah. It was like August, September, I think.
Yeah, so that would have been just before I'd have gone back to school to start my A levels, which lasted a week.
Alright. And you did pretty well in that one, right? Didn't you placed in that one? Did you win?
I'm not sure. I thought, yeah, maybe. Did I win the overall?
You won a couple of them somewhere, but I don't know if you won that one. But I know you did well in that one because I remember it was like that was the buzz at the time. Like,
I can't remember. I remember rooftop was the first time people had seen rooftop ride. I think outside of
Cali.
Yeah, and he was doing some pretty crazy stuff, like rode in off the roof and like, yeah, he was pretty wild. I remember thinking he was wild. I think we all stayed in a hotel and we were doing like grinds into the pool and stuff. Yeah, I remember thinking this is pretty wild. It was good.
That would have been an eye-opening trip for you then. If you were 16 and you suddenly see that side of the world, the next scene, and it was blowing up, wasn't it? At this point in time, it was on the major comeback. So,
and then I met Joe and Taj and all those guys there, I think.
Sandy was there, was he?
Yeah.
Mel Cody?
Maybe that was the one. Were they at that one? I'm not sure if they were all at that one. Definitely I remember seeing Joe and Taj. Joe and Taj was definitely
they were there, yeah.
I think it might have been a later one where I met Sandy.
Okay.
Because, I remember hearing about Sandy from loads of other people. And then the first time I actually went to the East Coast, so the first time I went to Posh and stuff was I'd driven back in a car with Sandy from a contest. And I think that might have been Virginia.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, in fact, I'm 99% sure it was Virginia. So I don't know how I'd managed to get in contact with him, or maybe I'd been in contact with Joe and just said, come back to our place after the contest, and then Sandy just had a free car or whatever. It was Dawn, I think, the girl Dawn that used to hang out at the Superdome. She was driving and Sandy was in it.
Okay.
And it was a pretty eventful trip home.
Alright, but let me go back a bit because I've missed something.
Alright.
Decay Bikes.
Oh yeah.
What was the story there? You had forks, right? And these guys were making frames.
Yeah. Was there a plan to make some?
Well, yeah. I don't know much about these guys, but it seemed like there was this new bike company coming in, like out of the dead of BMX, like Decay Bikes, and it was a guy called Matt.
Yeah.
And someone else, I can't remember the other guy.
I only remember the Timothy Claypal.
Yeah, Matt,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it just appeared, didn't it? Like it was a new
bizarre.
frame. It had like stickers on it. It was this new company. It was in ride quite a bit. He was in ride quite a bit. And then you had the cover doing the test of that bike.
Yeah.
So everyone assumed that you was on Decay Bikes, but then I think they even had a bike test in that issue, and then just that was it. Nothing more ever come of that company.
Yeah. I don't even know.
How did you end up
Don't really know.
on that photo shoot with those guys? It was at Northampton.
Yeah. I think I was going to ride for him. So in between this, actually, I'd met with Bob Harrow, and he wanted to. So maybe on the back of having the forks, I'm not sure. This is probably before I've had a frame, no?
I think you met Bob Harrow after the DK Bikes thing. But maybe I've got the time right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I remember
it's around that time.
He was interviewed in Dig, wasn't he, Bob Harrow, when he came over there.
Yeah, so maybe it was the Decay Bikes thing happened and then completely went away.
It just disappeared though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know what happened
No.
to it. It was gone.
Said, I'm not doing it anymore, or it's not happening, and that was it. Yeah. But it was like that was how it came as well. It came out of nowhere and just went into nowhere. It was weird, but I don't think the guy even rode, did he? Did Matt even ride?
I never saw him ride.
I never saw him
with a bike.
Yeah, I never saw him ride, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a mystery.
Weird how there was a buzz around it.
What is like?
As well. Guess it was
no
the first.
done that, yeah.
Because it was the first independent.
Yeah.
Outside of.
Yeah. It was,
GT
it was a big deal, wasn't it? Like, he got a lot of coverage, and like it was all going in the right direction, and then it just wasn't. Where was he from?
It wasn't made by ProLite, was it? By the people that made ProLite.
I couldn't even.
Was it brazed?
It was brazed, I'm pretty sure.
I think that might have been how it came about.
Not through MRD, no?
Mate?
ProLites, I don't think were brazed, they were welded. But I think some of them were made in the UK. The Craig Campbell one might have been made in the UK.
Didn't they have like gold welds?
ProLites?
Yeah, or not? Am I thinking?
Maybe. I know that MRDs were brazed.
What was Peter Hawkins? Which one was he involved with?
ProLite.
Yeah, so
it was him. Yeah.
So that's what makes me think it might have actually been to do with him. That he knew. He put Matt in touch with people that made ProLites or something. I think that's how it might have come about. But yeah, how it disappeared, I've got no idea. But there's also, I'm not sure if this links in with that, but there was a story about then a mountain bike company wanted to make titanium bikes, and they got in touch with me. And like, we want you to design a bike and ride a bike, and ride for us, and we'll get it made in Russia. They had some really lovely.
That's after though, isn't it? That's a long time after.
I think that's quite a bit after.
Yeah, I know who these guys are. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a long time after.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So
when you end up meeting Bob Harrow, well, that was.
So he wanted to come back in and start making bikes.
That's right. Yeah.
Through Castan. I think he actually wanted to call it Castan. Oh, he had Castan, didn't he?
It was something to do with Castan.
Yeah, because they were a manufacturer, and they started to made race bikes as well, didn't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they actually had their own factory.
Yeah.
Making bikes, so it was to do with that, and I can't really remember why we didn't go for it, or I just felt like I'd be better off just doing it on my own. I think I just wanted more control over it. Although what I didn't really want was, well, from the UK experience, I was like, I don't want to really be involved with selling directly. Yeah, it was just painful trying to deal with, especially like mail order back then, and nothing was easy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be riding, really. I was probably only really trying to make more of them and sell them to try and sort of keep my parents happy, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't think my heart was really in. I really liked the design of it, and I liked, that side of it, and making the products that I could use. But as far as actually marketing it and doing all that, I just wasn't.
Yeah, you didn't care.
I wasn't really interested in it. In fact, it would have been. It would have been quite difficult for me to get involved in all that, I think. So that was when we made the bikes in America. That seemed like the perfect thing, because there's no way they needed to be made in dollars, really.
Yeah.
To be able to be sold, then I could sell them everywhere.
Yeah.
And I needed the American market to sort of make it viable. So that's where that came in.
Yeah, and you did that with Steve Ing from Poor Boy.
Yeah.
I wonder, you probably met him, I'm guessing, in that Oklahoma contest.
Yeah, I reckon it was, yeah. I'm pretty sure
that was your first trip to a BMX contest in the US.
I'm pretty sure he had a stall there.
All his riders were there.
Yeah, so that is 100% where I met him. Yeah, because he had a stall there. He would have given me some product, because I think I was wearing Poor Boy in some of the pictures from that contest. So yeah, he would have given me stuff when I was there, and I would have been introduced to him through Joe or someone, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because Joe rode for Poor Boy as well.
Because Joe, Joe was riding for them at the time, and Joe somehow knew who I was.
Because you'd had pictures in the UK mags. You'd done the DK bike test.
Oh yeah.
No, you had a few pictures in the mags at that point, didn't you? So you was quite well known anyway.
Yeah, I guess I thought, would the Americans give a shit about it or look at that stuff, But I think because I was young, English.
Those guys are paying attention to it, BMX. They're into it,
Yeah, I think, but also, I was young and English and just a bit of a break from the norm, I guess. So it was quite easy to stand out, I guess.
Can you remember your first picture in a mag?
In any mag?
Any mag, yeah. No?
No. Ride would have been?
I think it might be BMX now. At 540 at Leon C.
Oh.
I'm guessing.
Yeah?
I'm sure that must be the first one.
Yeah.
Just from how early that was.
So. Yeah. What year would that have been? From that Leon C contest? 92.
Yeah.
You haven't got that, have you?
Yeah.
Somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, you have to send me a picture of it.
I'll get it in a minute. So then you met Steve Ing, and how soon after meeting him did you guys think of doing King bikes over there?
Probably in the first half hour.
Oh really? Yeah.
Probably.
So he saw you making forks and knew that you had a bit of a mind for designing bike parts, and then kind of he had a
subscription to Forbes magazine
and a distribution of a t-shirt company.
Yeah.
So I kind of guess it did fall into place, didn't it?
He had premises, he had everything. Yeah. He was he was pretty good with the adverts and the computers and all that side of it as well, in terms of the graphics and stuff. Well, yeah, he could knock all that stuff out. So it was a bit. I think I did the design. We spoke to a couple of people. Yeah, so the Castan thing must have come out at the end of that, at the end of the first round of bikes, when that went tits up. That's when the Castan thing must have come about, I think. When Bob Haro was on about making bikes. Because he'd have known me from building my bikes. The first Kings were made by Castan.
Okay.
So he would have known, that their company would have obviously known about me, and those first bikes probably only lasted a year.
What, the Liberty frames?
Yeah.
What, they was made by Castan?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, yeah. My timeline's different then.
Or maybe I found out about Castan because of the meeting I had with Bob Hara. So it was that way around.
So Steve didn't get that contact?
Don't think so, no.
And you filmed, you'd already filmed a couple of things for like Poor Boy videos at this point in time, right?
Yeah, I went backwards and forwards to
a lot. In 1 year you went like, you was ping ponging a lot back then, yeah. And where was that? Where was he living? Austin?
No, Fort Worth.
Okay.
Right, yeah, right on the edge of a really bad bit of Fort Worth, I remember. Got all his camera gear jacked to gunpoint one day. I wasn't there, but he was filming with maybe Ed or someone.
Ed Conant.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he was in the beginning. He was super sound, and he was always pretty quiet, and he was quite a bit older than me, obviously, and like quite settled. He had a wife and dog, and so he was in a bit of a different situation to me, but yeah, it worked really well. Like we just got the bikes made, and
Poor Boy was like a big brand, wasn't it, at that point in time? Like one of the bigger brands.
I remember him just doing the graphics for the first bike and not even seeing them.
Oh really? Yeah. Because they look like Poor Boy graphics.
Yeah.
At that point in time.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, we didn't even. There was no discussion about it really. He's just like, yeah, I've done the stickers or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. But they're not that offensive. It's not what I would have probably done. But
and then you added the Revelation sticker to it later on, I guess.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah. I think that was my first idea. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I did that on that old Macintosh computer I had at home. But that would have been helped by Steve for sure. Like I would have got what programs to get and all that kind of stuff, because he was already on Mac and doing all his stuff on Mac, so he would have helped me out with what stuff to get. But I think the first thing I did was, right, I'm going to rip off that logo.
And how did the frame geometry come about? Was it the same frame geometry the first sample you got, or did you change it when you started? How did you come up with that geometry? Because it's quite classic.
I think from I just.
What was you riding? Standard?
I had the measurements of probably every bike I'd ever had.
Okay.
So I would have done the same thing. Measured all the angles, measured the wheelbase and the front end length and the rear end length and everything on every bike I had. So I probably had a good portfolio of different geometries, and I think I had an idea about how each of them rode. And I'm pretty sure it was a dirt bike. I adapted it. The last bike I had before. I had a standard.
Yeah, you had an STA, yeah.
Yeah, I had a standard shorty, and then I had an STA. But I think the STA was quite similar to a dirt bike geometry.
Yeah, other than I think the BB heights were quite a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just put bits of what I knew together, and I knew that I wanted to have the back end quite a bit shorter to help with tail whips and spinning tricks, but I didn't want to lose that. I prefer to move the bottom bracket backwards essentially to make the back end shorter and the front end longer, give you more room in the front to do stuff, but still be able to spin.
To react quick.
Yeah. Keep the moment of inertia.
You knew that was going to work,
yeah.
Before you put it together.
Well,
that
was the idea. Yeah. And yeah, it just seemed to work. Yeah.
That's pretty good though.
When we got the first bike, it just it did everything I wanted it to do. So I think they were quite long in the front end compared to a lot of bikes back then.
I think they were 20.8, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which was longer. Most were probably 20.5 back then.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. In fact, the standards were, weren't they?
I'm not sure about the STA.
I think the STAs are 21.
Yeah.
But you could get it in 20.5 or the lengthy. Oh, there was the lengthy and the shorty, wasn't it? So
yeah.
Even the lengthy would have been 20.5, I reckon. The shorty would have been even shorter, no?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It would have been more of a flatland bike.
Yeah. But I think I even had. I don't know if I had a lengthy or a shorty. Can't remember. I can't remember what I would have had.
I don't know.
Those things were so heavy.
Yeah.
At least those were the light ones by the time I had mine, I think.
Yeah,
the ones that they were riding were
was
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, I remember Cody and that talking about them, just saying they were so heavy. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, well, so how did that sort of fall apart, the King bike thing? Like it had a good, it kind of like lit up real nice, didn't it? And from where I was anyway, like features in the mags and stuff, like bike tests, adverts. It was all going good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
and
it was
kind
good.
of just.
I don't know how long it took, but Steve just went more and more religious. His wife was really religious, and then in the beginning when I knew him, I knew like he was religious, but he didn't say anything about it. You wouldn't really know, and then he just got more and more prominent to the point where you couldn't, where everything was about religion. He wouldn't. That I had to fight like hell to get that agnostic front song in the Poor Boy video. And I remember at the time, I mean, I kind of understand it now, but at the time I was like, what? It's just a song, like and it's my section. Like you can believe in what you want to believe, but
what were you, 18 or something at this point?
Yeah, but I guess from his point of view, he's a religious guy putting.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't get that at all. I was like, what? You know.
And you wouldn't want to get it either. Been like.
Yeah. And then I remember, I don't know if he was driving me back to the airport one time. Well, this is the last time I ever saw him, actually. He drove me back to the airport from, I guess it would have been Texas somewhere, from his place. And I don't know what was going on with King bikes at that point. We probably got one or two batches done, and we were.
The product range was frame forks. Like the forks by now would like become like quite slick, hadn't they? They were rounded, like that. Like, they look real nice.
Yeah.
Frames, sprockets, pegs.
Yeah.
Stems, obviously.
Yeah, the stems are a bit tricky. I'll count the stems too much.
Caps, t-shirts,
axles. Although I'm not sure I made the axles in America. I think I might have stopped making them over here.
With axles and the washers, wasn't it?
Yeah. He even made the washers heavy. What an idiot.
There was no bars, was there?
No, I never made bars.
Why you never got to bars?
Just seemed like too hard to draw. That's why I never made bars. Yeah.
And so it was like it was a decent product range, like 1995, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just took a turn. You was in the car with him. He was going back to the airport.
Yeah, and he just said, you should really think about believing in God and blah blah blah. And I was like, but why? And he's like, because you're going to burn in hell. Basically, and I said, what? I said, Steve, you know me, like we've been friends for quite a while. Do you think I deserve to burn in hell? Like, what have I done to deserve burning in hell? And he's like, well, you don't believe. And that's when I thought, well, this isn't going anywhere. I can't. This is it's not sustainable. So, I think I got home and just said, just call it a day. And yeah, that was it. I think after one or two batches of frames, I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Because there was blue ones, red ones, chrome ones, black ones, right?
Yeah. All of the, yeah. Yeah. Probably about 100, I reckon.
It's like 2 batches of 50.
Yeah.
Because they came in 2 batches.
Yeah, I would have said.
Who was sort of you flowing stuff to? Jerry had a frame, didn't he? Over here.
Yeah. Not sure who had them. Ed, maybe? No.
Ed Conan? Yeah, I thought Ed Conan.
Yeah.
Because it would have been like maybe people who were already on Poor Boy or.
Yeah.
Or that.
Yeah, because all the others, the other guys over there would have been on standard at the time, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So and then it was later on when Rooftop and it was the second batch or the second design, I think. I had Rooftop.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was after. That was a bit after. Wasn't it?
Yeah. Danny Hickerson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a few others. Yeah, so then that was probably 3-4 years after.
What? That you started again?
Yeah, that would have been.
No, that was a way after. Yeah.
That would have been
2003 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit after that.
Yeah.
But you not spoke to Steve Ing since then?
No.
Not even on the internet?
No.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
I keep seeing, like, I see his name pop up.
Yeah, he pops up
Instagram
often. Yeah, I
and
follow
stuff.
him on one of the accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, but I haven't spoken to him since.
I think he's something to do with the church now. So.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a pastor or something.
Oh really?
I think so. Yeah.
No,
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Yeah. He still went to BMX. He still rides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. We used to go. Remember, with Dave Halford?
Psycho.
Yeah. I think I saw him ride. Went somewhere with Steve to the skate park somewhere, and he was there. I was like, because he was in
Head first.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. But he'd been well out of it, I think. But I remember seeing him ride at this skate park. That must have been in Texas somewhere nearish to Steve. That was pretty mad. I think that's the one where I broke my hand. Yeah, I did an ice pick grind to fakie and landed with my hand behind my back and broke my hand. I think it might have been that night. But yeah, anyway, digress.
So yeah, you besides that, you ended up like making some good connections in America, like good friends with.
Yeah.
So you went from like Texas, and somehow you ended up meeting people in PA, really, which is where most of the people that you became good friends.
Yeah.
In BMX live.
Yeah, I think the West Coast never appealed to me. Obviously, it's quite big for riding and like good scene and whatever, but it never really appealed to me. Although, yeah, I was like pretty friendly with Rooftop and the boy. Not so much with. Just never really hung out with any of like the S&M lot or any of those guys. Not for any particular reason, just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I never really had any particular reason to go out west, and I didn't really. I just felt I'd be more comfortable on the East Coast, especially like as soon as I met Taj and Joe, like we just got on really well. So
yeah.
I knew that probably all their mates would be sound, and it was good. So yeah, like the first time we drove over there from that Virginia contest, just went to the house and probably went to Posh the next day. And,
Yeah.
like looking back on what Posh was now, like it, or what Posh was then, compared to any place now. I mean, it was absolutely unreal at the time, but there was probably only 10 jumps there.
Yeah, and they were all like just dust mounds.
Yeah.
Look at the pictures, like, but that was early days, wasn't it? It only started. I think they started in '92 or '93. So you went in '95. So
Yeah.
It hadn't been there that long, you know.
Yeah, and then there's a video of us riding even before Six on the Hill was there. So I think you went there when Six on the Hill was there.
Yeah.
So before that line that went up all on that side of the hill kind of thing, and then down to the bottom wasn't even there. So someone sent me a video of us riding, just like the bit
Butcher
in
jump.
the middle.
Yeah.
Just that bit in the middle, and I don't even really remember
So it was
riding
like,
that.
I think it was a couple of jumps in Sidewinder, and then you jump the butcher jump. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was the first stuff.
And they were just like little mounds, but by the time Six on the Hill got made, then you were like, whoa, this is actually like getting towards what modern trails would become, I guess.
Yeah, what they would be, yeah.
Like way more tech, like.
And who was riding there when you used to go there?
Obviously Joe, Taj, Stoffer, Sandy, and then you used to have obviously J-Bone.
Gower?
Gower was still riding at that point, I think. Yeah.
Sal?
Yeah, Sal. Who else? MCM maybe at that time?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Would have been still riding. I think he was on the fringes of stopping riding at that point. But they were still sort of in the scene. They lived in the other house over the other side of town that was always in this shit.
That was like the house that was out in the sticks a bit, was it?
Yeah, it was like up on the hill over the other side over the other side of town. But there was always some
Griffin and
some
that
shit going down.
Theirs.
Yeah, there was always some shit going down. Who else was riding back then? Yeah, Butcher.
Yeah.
Butcher would have been riding, wouldn't he? And then you used to have sometimes the guys coming from Push.
Yeah.
At that point.
Chuck and Stig and those guys.
Yeah.
Punjab.
Yeah. Who else was there?
Did you ever go Push?
Only them. Yeah. Once.
Okay.
But for some reason, I only remember riding the 52 pack or whatever. Is that Push?
I'm not sure. Was that not Drexelbrook?
No, this was a driveway. It was definitely that way. Pretty sure it was. Maybe it was wet or something. The rest of it. Can't remember. No, we went there once and trying to do that line, just literally jump.
Pack?
Yeah.
Was it 52 jumps?
Yeah, but they were only little.
Yeah.
But you were like finished by the time you got to the end of it. Like if you got through the whole thing.
So what was
it? Absolutely finished.
What was the other trails then? So there was like Posh, Drexelbrook, Push. There was other.
But Drexelbrook was in Bethlehem, or close to Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Push is Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
right? Yeah. Maybe it was before they even had like big lines there.
No, it should have been at that. It would have been at that point in time, like 95 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have been. Who else used to come down? Some of the guys from like Ithaca and stuff used to come down and ride there. The brothers, I can't remember their name now. Do you remember who that was?
Acres.
Yeah. Yeah, it was all going on. There was, it was normally a session in there.
What about the Little Devil guys? Did you meet them as well?
I think, yeah, but not. I'm not sure if it was at.
Because
That was
blowing up at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I met them at contest. Then went around with them a bit. Where was he from?
Philly, I think. Philadelphia.
Because a load of his mates would then move to, like, we're doing shows at SeaWorld. We went down there. We did some road trip down there. Maybe that's for that Daytona Beach contest, maybe, or something.
That's Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were. I can't remember the guy's name.
What guy?
The guy who was doing the shows at SeaWorld.
Bob
There's
Nolan?
two of them. No.
Brumlow.
No, but I did meet. Yeah, so he was mates with Derek from Little Devil.
Okay.
And all those guys. Yeah, probably Nolly as well. But I think I met them at contests. Because Brumlow rode a couple of contests.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Those days, but he was sort of on his way out of it, I think.
I think he still rides now, but yeah, he might have been on his way out of it, like
Of that contest
point in time. Yeah.
Yeah, does he still ride now?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Whoa.
I saw some good footage of him actually. Like, there's some stuff of him riding his backyard ramp on YouTube
Yeah.
in like '92 or something. And they're going mental. Yeah.
Yeah.
10-foot airs, like really good.
Whoa. Yeah, that's pretty mad. Yeah, I can't think why I went on that road trip with Derek from Little Devil.
Well, it's just you and him.
Yeah, and a few others. I can't remember why we did that.
I guess the team was maybe going to a contest or something.
Yeah.
Would have made sense.
Yeah. I just remember Robbo coming up to me and saying, "Your friend Derek's a nerd."
Oh, you've not met him before?
I don't know. You know what Robbo was like? He just come out with shit like that.
So where you meet Robbo? Posh?
Maybe.
Yeah, can't remember.
I don't remember, no. Because he feel like he would have been around. Would he have been in any of those Hoffman contests?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
You remember when you met?
Yeah, met with Posh. Yeah.
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 That John
Yeah, big shit. Yeah.
Never forget that. So he also like knew what was going on.
They knew what was going on. They're into like they're still like that now, aren't they? They still know what's going on. All right. So
Ron Kimler.
Ron Kimmer as well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he rode at Posh, but he would have been around. I'm trying to think if he rode. No, he would have been on standard as well. I'm trying to think if he rode one of the bikes because he was on Poor Boy as well, but.
Yeah,
No, he'd have been on standard
yeah.
from the beginning, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was part of that original crew, yeah.
Yeah. What about like how did you? So you talked about wanting to use that agnostic front song for your section in. It was the first part in one of the Poor Boy videos, like.
Yeah.
How did you sort of get into that sort of music, like at that time? Like it's quite early when it's like hardcore was also just sort of having a bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
But it just started. It was almost like parallel to BMX, really.
Yeah, it was Stu Elliott originally. So Elliott was into Biohazard.
Yeah.
And I've never really got into Biohazard, but I remember thinking when I heard it for the first time, I was like, this is something I've never, like, obviously at school at that point, you, like, there was like metal heads or metalers, and you just didn't really want to be a metaler. Or at least like when I went to school, you know. But this was like, but obviously like the sound of the guitars, but the whole sort of scene, the headbanging scene, and just.
So you like the music, the riffs, and
just couldn't get over the rest of it. Yeah. And I remember Elliot saying, "Yeah," I was like, "Well, this is pretty good." And he was like, "Yeah, it's like heavy metal with short hair." And I was like, oh, "I can get behind this." But yeah, never really got into Biohazard, so I was like, "Nah, not too taken by it." And then I think he got some Chromags. Well, he got the Chromags, but he got the latest one. So that would have maybe just come out at that point, like the third one, the weird trippy one.
Yeah. Alpha Omega.
No, the one after that.
Near Death Experience. Yeah, that was
So and he loved that, and I was like, nah, I'm still not sure about this. But it's got sort of like kept more of an open mind about it, and then I heard the earlier Chromag stuff, and was like, whoa, this is good. And then Bad Brains. And then by that point, I'd met you, and you knew much more about
I was in
the rest of it. So it all just started with that. I knew that I liked it from, and probably those two bands, Bad Brains and Chromags, I still listen to them today. You know, so
because I remember you slotted right in there quite nicely. Like once you discovered it, you was like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah,
this is. I went to see. Chromags on that tour with Elliot.
Yeah?
Near Death Experience tour, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What, and they played all the new songs?
No, they played mostly all the classics.
Oh, right.
But they did play one song off that record, yeah. But,
What a weird record.
Yeah.
Did it have like a purple cover or something?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, purple logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that was it. Me and you, we was off gigs, like live bands, like a lot.
That must have been, as soon as I had a car.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you, Lemsip.
Yeah. Getting broken into.
Yeah. Getting clamped.
Yeah. Nothing much changes.
And also like back then, like Pinner Trails was starting to sort of blow up. So we had like, you remember we started going Harrow, this is going back a bit again, but then coming forward to where we kind of, roughly where we are, we started jumping doubles. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And at first there was the metal takeoff, it was basically a tabletop.
Yeah.
And then we built the other set on the other side.
Yeah.
And that was where everything moved from there, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's
when we had actually the whole line, yeah?
Yeah, but that's where you learn. Did you learn a lot of them tricks on that jump, or had you already done them on jump boxes?
Probably already done them on jump boxes, I reckon.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Like the final jump, like
no, the step
down
up.
The bottom.
Like, remember you used to have that big lip step up with a landing?
Yeah, I reckon I'd have already done a lot of those.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
I reckon. God, watch some footage of that jump.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah.
What were we thinking?
You had that forever.
Session the hell out of that thing. Man, no wonder the bikes didn't last.
But at that point in time, that's what you want to do, wasn't it? Like, half a 360 over like something with a gap, like.
Yeah. Yeah, and then later on came the bottom jump.
Yeah, like it was after we'd all been away.
Yeah, so did we have 4-pack?
Yeah,
two jumps into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was
one
the
jump and then that. No, on the bottom.
The bottom
on
was
that picture of Grot Bags. Oh, the one that Grot Bags 360 and landed right at the top.
So the bottom, they all led to that one jump, didn't they? The top was 2 into a berm.
Yeah.
And then you went over a jump, over a roller, and the other ones was like little jumps round the corner to the left into that same.
Into the same jump at the end. Yeah. And then, but there was, if you wanted to go straight into those two, you had to start from up the other side. Yeah.
And that was like That was when trails really started going in the UK.
Yeah. How big was that jump, that second?
What, into the berm?
No, the sort of trick jump, the last one on that.
Small.
Yeah?
Really small, because we went to Posh in 97, and then when I came back, I remember going to Pinner and being like, these jumps are tiny. And the jumps at Posh wasn't that big at that point in time, but they was much bigger than what we had over here.
Yeah.
And I remember that last jump, it just being like...
But some of the jumps like down the bottom of Posh, when we went, were quite big, weren't they?
Yeah, no.
Transferring in and out of those lines.
No, that's what I mean, but compared to now...
Oh, yeah. They're like motocross jumps compared to now, aren't they? They're like...
So can you remember anything about Anthem 1?
I just remember it. It's not like anyone filmed for it or did parts, or it just wasn't done back then. So yeah, I guess Stu was just hanging around. Yeah, so actually, come to think of other people that came to Posh. Yeah, it would have been that lot.
Stuart
So
Gilly.
Gilly, maybe even Crandall.
Yeah, he visited there.
Point, yeah.
Still does, I think.
Yeah, Gilly a lot, I think. In fact, he must have like lived there.
He moved there when we went there.
Yeah.
And Stu was filming
But
for
before
Anthem.
that, was that when he was filming for Anthem?
Yeah.
Around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he would have been there quite a lot. Yeah, I think it just sort of it came out. It wasn't like I think I can't even.
You wouldn't even...
I didn't even know.
Did you even know that he was filming a video?
No, I don't think
I
so.
mean, either.
No, that's what
I
I
knew
mean.
he was filming, but...
It just came. It just
he was
came
there,
out.
Yeah.
That was it.
And you had like pretty good little mini part in that.
Yeah, it was like a local section.
Yeah, it was in the
like,
Friends bit, wasn't it? But it was like a few, it was a few moves, wasn't it? It weren't just like 2 tricks, it was like a little...
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd pretty much forgotten about it, if I'm honest. And then it wasn't until I met Bentley and he started talking about it. It was like, you was in it, and I was like, was I? And then watched it again, obviously again. And I was fucking hell, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't think you even realised it at the time, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, because we went there just on a random BMX vacation, didn't we? So
Yeah.
that was the first time I went as well.
Yeah, that was when you taught Stoffer to make a splash.
Yeah.
Got myself. He was on to go to work, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was going to school, I think, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it school?
Yeah.
Fuck. Got myself a splash. That house was so funny, wasn't it?
It was the best.
Sally was fucking shouting around.
Was it Sal, Stoffer and Gilly? And Sandy. Sandy was in there as well.
Was he?
Oh no, Gilly was not. Gilly was in the other house. Gilly moved into it later on when I went back.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So it was Sandy, Sal, Stoffer.
Yeah. What a scene. Sal shouting about his muck socks. Remember that? You believe that guy teaches the youth of America? What a funny guy.
And that actually, so when we went there, I was filming for Nails in the Coffin. So a bunch of the footage from Nails in the Coffin is from you riding at PA.
Yeah?
Yeah. You riding Posh.
That was 97.
It was the same time that Stu was filming Anthem.
Yeah. Whoa. So that would have been the year after the first X Games. Was 96, I think. Yeah?
I think the first one was 95.
Was it 95?
Yeah, because you was in the first X Games.
Yeah. Think. Or maybe I was in 96. I know where
With
it
a
was.
messed up jump.
Yeah, with the crazy jump.
Okay, so maybe he was in the second one.
Yeah.
So
Was that the
I
second
think maybe the first one there was one jump, possibly, and the second one
Right.
they put a...
But was the first one still full on contest? It wasn't like a demo sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, it was a contest.
Was it?
Yeah.
I always thought that was the first one, but
I'm sure that I heard it being said in a skate podcast I listened to. It was 95 was the first one. Maybe I'm wrong. But the one you was at was the one with the rutted jump, yeah?
Yeah, with like the mad rolling in upstate New York, or what's the name of it?
Not Virginia, no?
No, it was. Oh no. Fuck, I can't remember what it was. You're gonna have to Google it.
You can find out when the first one was as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. We've got internet now. See, we've been talking about the 90s so long, we forgot we got internet. Just find this shit out.
95, first one. Providence, Rhode Island. Was you not that?
Yeah, so that must have been it. So I always thought it was 96, okay.
96, Providence and Newport. Joey Garcia won BMX Dirt in 96. Jay Mirren in 95.
Really? So then there was ESPN contests after that, so the X Games must have opened before the contest series started, is that right?
Can't remember.
So
the X Games was like the trial, wasn't it? And then the TV shows came after when they started broadcasting on TV.
That makes sense.
You was on a few of them as well.
Well, broke my leg in practice for the final of the Rhode Island one, and then there was one at Chelsea Harbours in New York.
Okay.
Like a ESPN contest,
right.
And I went to that, but I'd only been out of a cast for a week or something, and every time I landed, it was just like boom, like so much pain. So I tried to ride in the practice and stuff, but the features were quite big then. I think they'd already, even the street course was pretty big. I remember a massive wall ride, quite a big spine. So it wasn't the place to be riding with a fucked foot, really. So I ended up just pulling out of that before the contest started.
Was you in cast and stayed in America and got the cast off in America? Or did you come back?
No, I came home.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think I flew out with my girlfriend, and then we flew to Florida, and then I drove up. Yeah, stayed at the Superdome for a bit, and then went with Sandy and maybe his girlfriend at the time, I can't remember. And then we drove to New York and stayed on the outskirts of New York for that contest.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. And then I think that was the time. So I pretty much split. I think I split up with my girlfriend. She flew out of Pennsylvania or New York or something. We split up. She flew home, and then I was just not able to ride still. And I was due to stay out in America for another couple of weeks, and I was just like, "Fuck! I'm just gonna have to go home." So I drove back in one go on my own from the Superdome down to Florida, and then flew home.
Oh wow!
Hit something in the middle of the night. So in between, on this really empty bit of road in Florida, I'd been driving for 20 odd hours, and was nodding off, and then just hit something massively. The van went up on 2 wheels and cut out, and I was just on the side of the road in the middle of fucking nowhere with a van that didn't work, and I was shitting myself. And luckily, I walked back up, and after a couple of miles or something, came across a call box, man, and phoned someone, and they sent like the sheriff round.
Oh, right.
And he like ripped open. I remember he was like, "So what happened?" And I was like, "I don't know, it hit something." And we looked around the van. It looked alright, weird, but I'd hit something that hard that it turned the crash sensor. It's got a crash sensor on it that cut the fuel pump, and it had tripped that, and that's why the van didn't start. So he just ripped out the side of the van somewhere and went, "Yeah, I think it's around here somewhere." Like pushed a reset button, and then I was
back on the road.
Yeah. And I think that was probably the last time I went to America before we went back, I'd imagine. So I didn't do any contests after
Yeah,
that.
that's
That was
right,
the
yeah.
last one. So the last one I did was the X Games, really,
And
in America.
you turned pro during that time, though, right?
Yeah, quite a bit before then.
Yeah, you. I remember you did real good in Stunt Boy. I remember one year, or it must have been.
That was the only year, I think. So the year.
Because I remember you was going.
Oh, so it must have been the year after the Oklahoma contest. Then the next year. So I would have done quite a few of the BS contest rounds. So I did Chicago, that Virginia one when I went back to PA. Trying to think if there was any other ones. Maybe Chicago again. I think there was 2 Chicago ones.
I remember you was going to yeah, that's right. You was going to the second Chicago, I think, and you turned pro at that Chicago. The one where Colin Winkleman did the big 3 on the spine and like.
Yeah.
The flip. It was like the flip one. Everyone was doing flips, I think.
I think it was Virginia I turned pro.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember it was outside. It was in the summer. Because we were. Yeah, there was some sort of outside toilet. Yeah, I remember 2 things about it. One, sitting down with Jamie on, and maybe I want to say it was Dave Mirror, but I can't imagine those 2 being that pally together. So maybe it wasn't Dave Mirror, but one of the other pros anyway. And we were sitting down having a drink or something one day, and Miron was just popping these ibuprofens like they were going out of fashion. He just had like this mound of ibuprofen, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" He's like, "Yeah, that's just what I have to do just to be able to get out of bed, basically." And I was like, "Fuck, that's pretty serious."
Probably what, 26 or something.
Yeah. And I was thinking, maybe the pro class is not what you want to be in. Yeah, so I remember that from then, and then I remember going for a shit before the contest, and I think that was definitely Jay. So I was in one of the traps, and then I think Jay was on one side and Dave was on the other side. And they were talking to each other, and I don't know how Jared figured out that it might have been me that was in there, and so we were like talking to each other through the stalls, you know. And he was like, "So he goes, Kingy or whatever." He's like, "You in here as well?" I was like, "Yeah." Trying to have a shit, and he's like, "Well," he goes, "Welcome to the pro dump." Yeah, like it was some sort of ritual that they had. Yeah, it's really weird, some of the stuff you remember. But yeah, I always remember that. I'm pretty sure that would have been Virginia.
Virginia, yeah. Where you had a Vans out, like on the metal ramp.
Yeah. That ramp was so hot. It was insane. You didn't want, like, I think anyone that crashed on it would just, even if they'd broken their back, they'd just get up.
Because like summer, yeah?
Yeah, it was metal ramp, and yeah, it was so hot. And then they had like the quite cool little street course with like a spine volcano and
sub box and stuff.
Yeah, hip. Tried to do a downside on that hit
I
from
think
going
I've seen
over the
footage.
bars. I remember that. I think I went so far over the back, got my leg caught in the back wheel as I went down and flipped me over the bars.
You rode you always rode.
Nolly was riding that one for sure because he was doing some good stuff over that.
The spine.
Yeah.
You always ride vert and street in them contests.
I did in Virginia, but I don't think I'd ridden vert before.
Okay.
But then Chicago did that have vert?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have had the confidence to ride vert in that one though. I don't know why I rode vert in that. I never rode vert really, but
You rode vert Lee.
yeah.
But not like a lot.
No.
There's that. I've seen your picture, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, you're fucking massive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a ramp that was. Over vert, 12-foot vert ramp on one side and under vert on the other side.
And then like, it didn't seem like you had a vert ramp to ride, but you ride that one like real well.
I don't know how
How
I rode
did you-
that. Well,
How did you learn all these vert tricks? Like, I suppose they're not vert tricks, are they? They're just tricks, but to be able to do them on vert is pretty fucking good. Like the big 540s and stuff you used to do. Oh, you rode backyard jam vert as well.
None of them were like compared to people that rode vert. They weren't.
No,
It
back
wasn't in
then.
the same league, you know. But I also didn't. I knew that I wasn't and couldn't without having access to a vert ramp all the time. And I don't. Even if I did have access to a vert ramp all the time, I don't think I'd have had the bollocks to ride it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like one of them things you want to ride, but you don't want to spend too much time on because you know you're going to have some sort of big one at some point and end up like Jay Mirror with the
Roulette, yeah.
1,000,000 milligrams of ibuprofen.
But I think you'd be surprised that if you look back at that now, like if you don't think, well, this you know, Jay Mirror and Jamie Bestwick, whatever you want to pick out as like one of the vert like leaders, you know, if you're not looking at that and you look at one of your runs from say that backyard jam where you rode vert, like
with the red
one in the field,
yeah,
the one in the field, you like doing high like bar spin X ups and stuff, like, and it's not, you know, you're not here, you're like over people's heads, like you'd be surprised, like that's decent shit.
But yeah, I don't think to me they
Tail
weren't
whips
vert
and
tricks.
like,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But
so
they are vert tricks if you're doing them on vert.
Yeah,
you know, like,
it's true. Yeah,
it's like it's weird.
it was like I was I don't know, just trying to. I just wanted to ride
You just wanted to be in the
anything
event,
at any point, and just I was just into it. So, but I just do what I could do, and that's what I could do. But I never felt like I could compete with those guys on vert, and obviously I couldn't. But I like normally that would have made me feel like not wanting to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to do it unless I feel like I can
Really
hang with those guys. But I never really felt that about vert because I think I knew I didn't really ride it, so
There was no
it was
pressure.
just fun. Yeah, there was no pressure on it. It was just.
No, it was good. I watched that recently.
And that ramp was pretty small as well, and it wasn't.
Yeah, but it was
Still vert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
toothpick to bar spin, I think, as well. It was like
Yeah, people were like
those
freaking out about that.
that was
back
new,
then.
wasn't it?
Because I remember Dean and Baz Keat coming up to me. I think it was Dean, definitely Baz Keat, and he was like, "Did you just do a toothpick to bar spin on a vert ramp?" And I was like, and in my head I was thinking, yeah, but there's so much more time to do it on a vert. It's easier on a vert ramp than to do it on a mini ramp because you've got so much more time and the front wheel doesn't touch the transition as you come down. But that was just.
Yeah, but then it's a head game though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, from the other side. But a lot of things like that, you just, I guess it's, if you know the likelihood is you're not going to fall.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how high it is, does it?
Yeah,
If you know, if you're pretty
Yeah, if you're
confident,
confident,
you can do it.
yeah.
I think if you could do that, because I used to do them all the time on mini ramp. To me, and the other thing is you could get your body so far away from the bars because you could just
set up
hop
easier,
in
yeah.
and just do it, But so I was like, yeah, but I couldn't really work out why they were so psyched on it, But again, it was just a trick that I could do on something else that I just thought I could probably do that on vert. But then if you go and ride after fucking Jamie Ron's just or whatever, just done a 10-foot 540 back to back, and fucking hell, I'm shit.
Yeah, still,
Those guys.
Yeah, but they're superhuman. They don't count,
Yeah, I guess I also thought of it that way as well. So, but they were so much older than me as well. So I guess at one point I would have thought, well, I've got time to.
Yeah, I've got time to get there.
If I do want to get there, then I've got time. I don't need to rush it. But also, I think, like I said, I knew that without access to a vert ramp all the time, that there was just no way.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't think I liked it enough to put everything on the line like they did. They must absolutely love riding vert. And I think you've got to have like a special love for it to get as good as they did on vert, haven't you?
Yeah, any of the people at the top, you got some. Yeah, you've got a passion for it, and like major.
But by the time I sort of stopped competing in America, that was like the changeover when it was people were seriously putting themselves on the line at that point, and I had to make a decision like
which way to go.
Yeah, you're either all in, and this is going to be it, and you're probably going to get injured even more than I had been injured, or actually train so that you could do stuff,
Well, it'd be both, wouldn't it? You're going to get injured and you've got to train.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But I think if you went into it with the mindset of risk management and learn everything in the right way and with foam pits and resis and all that, you could mitigate a lot of that risk. Not all of it, obviously. Yeah. And it shows now, like what people can do now and just ride out of everything. But that was almost cheating back in the day. We were just like, if you think you can do something, fucking chuck it and see what happens. And anything else is just cheating. And that's so stupid, but that's how it was. Or at least that's how it was in my mind.
No, that's how it was, full stop,
Yeah. Like, the idea of training to do something was unheard of. But at that point, when ESPN came into it, then it started to go in that direction. So that's when I had to make a decision, like, do I want that, or do I just do whatever I'm doing, But at that point, a lot of the love for it had started to go. Well, actually, that's not really true, because I've realised now that it's taken me a long time, but that love for it is still there. There was just a lot of negativity around it for me, and that sort of overpowered it, and I thought I'd lost the love for it, but now I realise that the only time, probably the only time I'm properly present in the moment is when I'm in the air on a bike, and that's still what I'm doing now. I've got a lot of my mind's always going. I'm always thinking about stuff and put pressure on myself for this, that, and the other. But when I'm really free is when I'm on my bike, and that hasn't changed. Well, I'd lost it. I hadn't realised that for a long time, and then in recent years, just come back to it. Yeah, and it's amazing how like organic it was, and if you could do it again, I'd realise that there's other ways to do it, and I didn't have to stop to.
When you get to a certain age as well, I think you liberate yourself from all them like expectations, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like, I like doing this, so it doesn't matter what I have to do it. I'll do what I like to do to please
To
this
please
part
me.
of me.
Yeah.
This is much better than just like going somewhere and thinking, oh, people are waiting for me to do this or that or whatever it might be, because that did play a factor, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
With everyone that sort of got to any point of riding, like putting your own pressure on yourself to think, oh, these people expect me to do this trick, so if I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of that towards the end of it, and I think like I'd had quite low self-esteem, especially when I was younger, and riding actually helped with that. And then, but when sounds a bit stupid, but when you have some sort of fame, I don't know if it's fame or whatever, but
yeah, it is in that scene.
People
definitely
know who you are, and that's most of the people you spend your time with. And when you've got low self-esteem, and you don't have to try, when people just know you, you don't have to try and make connections with people because they're already there.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really bad, and that's part of the reason why
that has an adverse effect.
Yeah.
After a while,
because you're not. I think it just detracts from you being able to sort of find yourself and who you are, because you're just sort of on this roller coaster, and I think I really needed to step away from it to figure out who I was, but it took a long time.
Reconfigure it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's when you overthink things, and I had a lot of riding took me away from a lot of bad stuff, and then in the end, my mind turned that to shit as well. It's like, what the fuck?
I think that's what your brain does, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but a lot of these things are much more spoken about now than they were, and I didn't have a clue what was going on really. But looking back on it, if I'd had, that's what I tried to do for my kids, just try and make them aware of this sort of stuff, just so that they don't go down the same road,
Yeah, it's quite, and I don't know if it's probably an age thing, but like from both sides of that, what you're talking about, like people who rode were also like aggressively into riding, weren't they? As the people who weren't into riding were aggressively not into riding, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, so you get shit off people who didn't like riding, who were just like didn't have anything and just were fucking looking for a target, And then like I think that balanced out to like the people that were aggressively into it had become a product of the people that were aggressively against it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like it kind of like to be into it, you had to have a retaliation for these people that were going to give you shit, and that's kind of like what you're saying. It's like it's both sides.
But towards the end of it, I was in the middle.
Yeah. And you're not on either side.
I had no idea what made me happy or who I was anymore. It was because I'd never found out who I was really.
Yeah.
So I had to explore loads of stuff, and just by accident, really came back to riding.
Well, it's because that you still like doing it.
Yeah, but it's not like I actively. It was just something. So I started riding mountain bikes because of a friend who bought one, and we were going to. There's a place near me, like a little downhill. We've got a few little downhill runs, and I just thought, I had a little pedal on his bike. I was like, wow, this doesn't feel too dissimilar to a BMX really, because it's quite small. And I thought, I could probably have a few runs on this. So just started riding that place. And then, and then I realised that what I really wanted to do was jump. And then, and now I'm back to where I started.
Well, that's what I mean, because it's still there.
Yeah, it's like, fully still there, never went anywhere really. But I felt so far away from it, wanting to do it, that I somehow tricked myself into allowing it back in.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, this is actually what I've been searching for the whole time, you know.
That's pretty fucking good though. You find it again, like it's fucking good shit. Isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And then did the sort of mountain bike thing, and then not sort of riding trails, but riding like sort of more mountain bikey stuff. But only ever like jumps and stuff, but not like steep proper trails. And then guy contacted me from the built trails where I used to live. He contacted me on Instagram, said come down and have a look, and then I started riding there on a jump mountain bike, and then there was also people on BMXs down there, and I just had a go on one day, and I was like, wow, this is it felt so alien, it felt so small and twitchy, but I was like, whoa, this actually feels really good. And then that was the last time I rode my jump bike.
Oh wow.
I've been just trails really, but back on the BMX.
How many years has that been?
Only that was the sort of summer and onwards of the year before the
2019.
lockdown. Yeah.
Yeah.
But didn't ride the whole time during lockdown. There was nothing really to ride in that sort of year. And then just been back on the BMX, little skate park in my town, so ride there a little bit. But yeah, just wanna ride trails really.
Yeah.
Hence the visit to
gnarly,
yeah. Now I'm not so sure. After going to Woodyard today, I was like, whoa, this place is pretty mental. But
So if we go back a little bit further, like we missed a bit of stuff that I wanted to talk about. It's like the rebirth of King bikes.
Yeah, which one?
There was kind of two, but there was only one really. Like,
yeah.
So the frames that were made in America.
Yeah.
The trial.
Yeah.
Was that before those guys from the UK was going to do it, or after? It was after.
After, yeah.
Okay, so these dudes from a mountain bike company.
Oh, so that story.
You remember the Russian titanium, the Russian titanium and all that. I can't remember what the company was called, but they were like a mountain bike company.
Yeah.
And you was going to make a BMX through them. How did that even come about?
I don't know how they got in contact with me.
It was through Cyclone, I think.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. That I don't remember. Don't remember how. But I spoke to them for a little while, and we discussed how it was going to work and stuff. And I got the feeling something wasn't quite right. They were. It seemed like money was no object sort of thing, and they had this company and it was going all right in the mountain bike world. So like quite a few mountain bike companies were just trying to do BMX stuff, weren't they, at one point?
Yeah, but this was like a small mountain bike company which had a real high-end titanium frame that was like cheaper than everyone else's.
Yeah.
And everyone was raving about their product, weren't they? Like the mountain bike guys.
Yeah.
But somehow there was going to be a King frame, which was, I think there was a sample, and I think there was a bunch of samples, but they just kept coming out wrong.
Oh no, that was another company. So that was when I tried to make the Liberty frames again.
That's it. Yeah, I remember it was a Liberty frame.
Yeah. So after coming back from the thing with Steve, I tried to make them this company in Newcastle way, and they were actually made custom bikes. So it should have been a piece of piss for them to make them, but they just fucked me about for so long and never got them right. They'd come back bent out of the jig, and yeah, we were supposed to make one prototype and then go to production, and they just couldn't even get a prototype straight. So that all fell on its arse. And then after that was the titanium.
Oh, it was after. I remember we had one of your prototype frames. It arrived at a bike show or something, did it?
Oh,
Have I got that right? And I remember you just looking at it and being like, just left it like it was just left out the back, like you didn't.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was so like the bend in the top tube was like. I remember that as being like a real visible sort of mess, like just bent away before it should be, like. And the seat tube came out, like it was just terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how they could fuck it up that badly, really, but.
And that might have been where those guys who made the titanium bikes came into it. They probably at that bike show.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So they were talking about it, and I was sort of on the verge of doing something with them.
Yeah, that all looked good, didn't it? At one point, it was like.
But I still got the feeling something wasn't right, but I thought, well, I haven't got much to lose, so I was going to go with it. And then I got a weird phone call one day from some anonymous person just saying everything isn't what it seems at that company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not going to tell you. I can't really go into details, but I said, well, who is it? Who are you? He's like, I can't tell you who I am. I'm very close to the company, and everything isn't as it seems, and you should steer clear.
Whoa.
And I've never found out what it was, who it was, but I didn't go with it, and then they just disappeared, didn't they?
Yeah.
Pretty soon after that, I think they disappeared. So I don't know what their angle was, if they were, because they were going to put in all the money and everything for it. So yeah, a bit strange.
Wow. Can't remember even what the name of the company was. I know Adam bought a frame, didn't he? Titanium frame.
Did what, mountain frame?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And then so fast forward a year or two, and then you're making them in America. Yeah.
What a scene! I couldn't get it right once. So early 2000s, I went to live in America to work.
In Texas?
Back in Texas.
Okay.
And there was a local skate park. Went there and rode a couple of times and met a couple of guys from there. And they had a storage room upstairs. So got some frames made by the T1 people.
Is it Mass that called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they would, because they'd done the T1 frames, they were all good with basically shipping out box with a bike ready to go. So paint, stickers, or at least paint.
Yeah.
So just had them shipped to that skate park. I paid for the skate park to store them and send them out for me, and then that's how that worked for a little while. They used to put the stickers on and stuff, and that's that's how I met Danny Hickerson, I think.
Yeah.
Came across
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how he got him sort of on the team or whatever. Well, yeah, if it was a team.
Yeah.
And tried to do it again, but soon after quit my job in America, so I had to do that remotely. So I had to do all that from back in England.
Oh, okay,
It was hard work. And we had some frames sent that weren't right, at least, a few things, the colours weren't right, and I just thought, I can't do this remotely, I need to be there to make sure everything's good. But initially I thought it can work because they've already done it. They do basically the same job with T1. But I think maybe they were overworked, or they just had too much on with all the T1 stuff, because T1 would have been massive at that point.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe that's why yeah, we had a few issues, and I was like, oh,
I remember the
can't
first
be
ones
doing this,
were
yeah.
like purple, weren't they? Supposed to be blue or something.
Yeah. Which actually turned out to be alright because people didn't seem to
Yeah.
mind the fact they were purple, but and then the last ones that got made were they? Yeah, so they would have been the same. Yeah,
The last ones were baby blue.
The last ones were baby blue and still made. Yeah,
Yeah.
still made by mass.
And that still had like a little. That was like a little following, wasn't it? It was pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah.
What was going on there, and then like you end up on Road Falls 12.
Yeah.
Which was quite a good bit of promo, but like what happened there?
That's because I was supposed to be on 1.
Road Falls 1.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Sure, yeah. They invited me to go on 1, and where I'd broken sunbone, I couldn't do it. So then they invited a lot of the people that were originally on Road Falls 1, I think, and they got to choose someone to come. They got to pick another person to come with them.
Oh, okay.
And I think Joe was chosen to go on that, and chose me to go on it. But he ended up getting injured, so he didn't do it. I think that's how it worked out. So it was just me and Scott, and then a load of. I don't think I met any of the others until I got out there, and they were all. That was way after I'd pretty much stopped riding.
You'd missed a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not even. Yeah, maybe a couple. Yeah, maybe 1 year and a half, maybe something.
But things had moved on so fast in that time,
yeah.
and yeah, it was that was. It was an eye-opening trip how everything had changed. The people on it were really sound. Nyquist was on it.
Gary Young was on it, I think.
Gary Young, yeah.
Jason Enns.
Yeah.
Big Murphy, was he on that one? No.
Nah.
Corey Martinez.
Yeah.
Van Homan, maybe.
Seth Kimbrough.
Okay.
No, not Van Homan. Gary Young.
Yeah.
Gary Young. Yeah. Yeah. So no, I don't think anyone I'd met apart from Scott. Yeah, and just the riding was pretty much insane. But I got hurt on like the first day, and then just when I could ride again, got hurt again, and so I didn't do hardly any riding. I think I got like 1 clip in the whole
I
thing.
think you had 2 clips. I remember Tipping being quite excited, like, oh cool man. And then he was gone quick, yeah.
Yeah, that was an eye opener. Where was we ended up in the skate park in Alabama? No, where's Seth Kimbrough?
Yeah, I think,
Is it Alabama?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're in their sort of church run skate park thing, and he played a thing in his
band
band.
played,
Yeah. But that was so vastly different to how it ever was before.
Was it an enjoyable experience or?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it was still. I think it just hit home to me that I wasn't
Not
happy
into it,
riding
yeah.
my bike at that point. So from that point of view, it was still pretty hard. I think I was still working out what actually was making me happy. But it was like, wow, you couldn't turn it down, could you really?
Yeah, no, it's once in a lifetime.
So I had to go. I think I was really struggling like financially at that point as well. Moved out and rent was just massive, and I'd go through these stages of not having any work, and then just the debts would just be building up and up and up and up. I'd be paying for my rent on my credit card, or drawing out money on my credit card to pay the rent, and then I'd pay everything off and be back to zero, and that would be like having zero would be like, wow, that is like.
Then you start going down again.
And in the middle of that, I was going on this trip. But yeah, I obviously couldn't turn that down. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. I think also for Scott, it was more into it at that point. It was also a bit of an eye opener for him as well.
Yeah. Because he went on, I think, the one before. So that was the
Oh,
second.
did he as well? Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Sean Arata was on that as well, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, the FBM guy,
Yeah, he was cool. Sergio Leos was.
Oh, was he on it as well, yeah? Wow.
Yeah, he was cool.
Euros.
I did get a picture from that. Doing a look back on that.
I think you had
that ramp.
I think them clips, you had a 1-footed X up, I remember, and maybe the other one was a look back as well, yeah.
And a tail whip on that quarter in that.
I can't remember that. So you had 3 clips on that, probably?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Yeah. Who was filming on that?
Maybe
Oh,
Chris
Delecki.
Ryan? Oh, Delecki. He was taking photos, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Ryan or Stu, I would have thought.
Yeah. I got left at a service station.
I remember, yeah. I remember you telling me a story.
The buddy system.
Mm.
Buddy system failed. Thanks, Scott. You prick.
Oh, man. And what else have we got? What else we got here? What about the that time you crashed at the backyard jam?
Yeah, that was happy days.
What did you break something in your face?
Yeah. I broke my skull in
Cheekbone.
3 places. So, like pushed my cheekbone back, so I cracked in my eye socket, down below, and then above, and then up as well.
Right in the vert.
Yeah. I think it was John Taylor who I'm going to have to blame for this. I think he said I couldn't get 9 foot on his bike or something.
Oh, you weren't even on your own bike?
No, I didn't even have a bike, I don't think.
It was a backyard jam. They had the vert ramp. And I remember.
No, it was a bike show.
The bike show, was it?
Yeah, it was bike 20.
'Cause we had a stand there. Cyclone had a stand.
Yeah. And that
The vert
year
ramp was in front of the stand, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't a year where you had the stand like on the entrance near the escalators or wherever it was when we were.
Yeah.
When we were
No, that was in Brighton. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were taping the tenors
Yeah.
to the fishing line.
So that I remember you. One side of you, there was like, oh, Stu's crashed, and I was like, oh, really? Yeah. Well, bad. Yeah. I remember like walking over and I saw you, and I was thinking, oh, he looks alright. He stood up. He's like,
Yeah.
looked like he's talking to someone, and like I could only see like this side of your face.
Oh, that's when I came back in.
And then like when you saw that, like basically you had like another face, like
Yeah.
here. And I remember when you turned around, I was like, whoa, and it was fucking huge, like proper, like out here, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was, you broke 3 bones, yeah.
Yeah. So I fucking knocked myself out for ages, and I woke up in the back of the ambulance, thought I was dead. Then Joe was in the ambulance. Joe was there, right?
Joe Rich?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen Joe for many years, and then I was like coming to in the back of this ambulance. I was thinking, right, I know I'm in an ambulance. What the fuck am I doing here? I don't ride anymore. This is a bit weird. And then fucking saw Joe's big head in front of me, and I was like, fuck, I must have died, and my friends are just coming back to say goodbye to me. And that's how I rationalised it at the time, and I was fully convinced that I was dead. I didn't have an out of body experience or anything weird like that. It was just literally just coming into consciousness kind of thing. And then slowly realised that there was something else going on. And then they took me to hospital, they almost let me go, and then they didn't even put me on like concussion protocol or anything, and I was out for a long time. I don't remember. I remember slamming, or I remember coming down a little bit sideways from an air. Then I remember sort of coming to in the ambulance, and there was a long time in between. Went to the hospital. They didn't put me on concussion protocol or anything. They were just going to let me go. And then, just as I was literally walking out, they were like, "Actually, we better X-ray you. Your face is pretty swollen." And then they saw that I fractured my skull in 3 places.
Oh. So they let you out without doing anything?
Oh yeah, and then they let me go anyway.
And so you had to come back.
So then I came back to the bike
to get fixed.
Yeah, so then I came back to the bike show.
You came back to the bike show, yeah, that's where I saw you.
See me, and that's when Unlucky Stu.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you still remember that.
Yeah. So I think I had to wait like a week or something before I went back into hospital.
For the swelling to go down.
I think so. And then they cut my gum open, and they put a plate in from underneath my gum, screwed a plate in, and then that was me done. But
still there?
Yeah, but yeah, that was that took me a year, 2 years to get over. I had all sorts of bad anxiety attacks and for already somewhat like was already suffering with depression as I had done my whole youth really. And a bang to the head's not good for depression.
Especially one like that was a proper one.
So that's it. And then having anxiety and panic attacks as well, which I didn't know. And I probably only really realised that was anxiety and panic attacks a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
That's what was going on. I knew it was something not right and that something needed to heal. But that was really, really bad. And then actually last year, knocked myself out of Brockham, not really badly, but just enough, and I started to get the same
symptoms.
Yeah, like a little bit of anxiety, and no panic attacks or anything, but I was like, ooh, I need to be a bit more careful. So I'll just riding still and stuff, but just trying not to try and manage the risks a bit more than just doing stuff that I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, just try and be a bit more confident with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it hasn't stopped me. It's just slowed me down, I think. But yeah, it did actually worry me quite a bit after that Brockham crash, because I was like, that was a pretty small crash. I mean, I did knock myself out by only for a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
But to have like 2 weeks of feeling weird after that was a bit worrying. I remember I went to a jam at some trails and I'd get halfway down the line, didn't know where I was. I didn't know which way the jumps were going. And I jumped off the side clean onto the floor on one jump. Because I was like, I didn't know where I was. At A1, the A1 trails. Trails.
Yeah.
And it was like
crazy.
Yeah, but I didn't want to.
You crashed when you got pulled out the side?
No, I just rode away.
You just rode off into the flat?
Yeah, but I wanted to ride. And I hadn't been to them trails before, and they look really good. So I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't do that now. I'd just go. I'll go next week or when I'm feeling alright, And that's only a year ago. So I've come a long way in a year already.
Oh mate.
Although there's like on my riding my motocross bike now. There's at the track nearest me. There's like a set of doubles that are probably 70 or 80 foot or something, and I keep going. Oh,
you not jumped them?
No,
I
ain't jumped them yet.
Fuck
I'm like, I need to jump them.
And how big are the ones you're jumping?
Probably like 50 or 60.
Oh,
But it doesn't feel like anything on a motocross bike. It feels like you're going fast, but the actual jump doesn't feel like anything.
Relative to the speed you're travelling, I suppose.
It just feels like floating.
It's when you don't stay on that it's going to feel like something.
That's why I've had to sort of
rein it back a bit.
Yeah, because I know if I come off that thing, it's going to be fucking really bad.
Oh, yeah, fuck that.
But it's well fun. So we'll go. Also, like jumps on my mountain bike as well. I've probably done the biggest jumps I've ever done in the last couple of years on my mountain bike. Like, obviously
distance wise.
Yeah, distance wise. Not like 40, 50 foot on a mountain bike.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
You come off doing that though, like
I haven't
big jumps like that.
I haven't yet. Case a couple, but you can.
Yeah, you're saying
when they're not that steep and you've got quite
bigger
a bit of
wheels
travel
as well.
Yeah, quite
bigger wheels help.
Suspension travel and stuff. Sure, I will do. I think I've got like 1 or 2 crashes left in me, so I'm just trying to spread it out, you know.
Do you wear a mountain bike on your a helmet on your mountain bike?
Yeah, I wear my motocross lid. Yeah.
Oh, okay, full face. Okay.
Because it happens so fast. That's the different.
And you're going at a rate as well. So.
Yeah, like the BMX jumps are obviously a lot steeper, and you've got to be a lot more accurate. But you kind of, when you're crashing, you know you're going to crash quite a bit before, don't you? On the odd occasion, you don't. But on the mountain bike, sometimes everything's fine, and then you just tip out, just slide out in a berm, and you're just instantly on the floor.
And you're going,
And you don't realise how fast you're going. Well, I broke my shoulder on my mountain bike as well. Hit a tree, and literally I was just riding along fine. Next minute, on the floor. Didn't know what was going on. Didn't knock myself out, but I was like, how the fuck did that happen so fast? I had no chance of saving it or doing anything. And then had to go to work for a week with a broken shoulder. But they didn't even spot that in the X-ray either. They X-rayed it at my local hospital and just sent me home. Said no, there's nothing wrong with it.
What was it? Collarbone or shoulder?
Scapula. I broke my shoulder blade in half down the middle, and they didn't see it on an X-ray.
So what did you do with that? Nothing. Just rested it.
Yeah, they just put it in a sling because it's big flat bone with a load of blood supply. It just heals up on its own. So.
What?
Yeah, but I did a week moving around like it wasn't broken, to then go back to the hospital for them to say, yeah, it's broken. Which is a bit of a worry. Same hospital that sent me home when I had a lung infection said I had nothing wrong with me either.
I won't be going back there,
mate. So same hospital that Jimmy Savile used to do business in as well, funnily enough. Fuck's sake.
And what do you do now on a day to day?
So I'm working from home mostly. So I do my job mainly from home, and then go to the races to do the actual bulk of the job. What
is the bulk of the job? Most people aren't going to know.
So. I'm an engineer in Formula 2. Just engineer one car in the Formula 2 Championship. Done that since 2000. Well, I've been working in racing since 2002 or something, and then Formula 2 since 2018. So but a lot of it I can do from
20
home.
years, 20 years.
Yeah, what since
Yeah.
Yeah, or would have been properly 2005. Let's say, But it's good. Enjoy it. It's not. Really,
and what's that? That's
really like going to work.
That's flying 2 places to do it.
Yeah. So we do like this year 14 rounds of the F1 Championship. So that F1 does like 20 odd. We do 14 of those. Mostly in Europe, but 4 or 5 flyaway races, so like Bahrain, Abu Dhabi. We were supposed to do Russia, but that's gone. So yeah, mainly just flying around Europe and doing the races and flying home. But yeah, it's a lot of hours at the track. Like minimum sort of 15-hour days normally.
How long do you actually go for then?
Just a week normally.
Oh, it's just 1 week.
Yeah, but like next week we've got I leave on Tuesday for the Barcelona race. Leave Tuesday. Barcelona race is Saturday, Sunday, and then stay out there to go to Monaco for the next weekend. So some of them are back to back.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'll be 2 weeks for the next one, but that's 2 races. So.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
Nice. We good? We've got enough there, right?
Sick, yeah.
Right. Splendid. Good.